Welcome to a place for those in search of truth and conviction, a place where we discuss culture, politics, philosophy, and everything in between. I'm Luke, and I'm here with Russ. This is Hardly Strictly Politics.
Oh, hell yes, dear listener. The HSP boys are back in the saddle once again for episode number 67. Thank you so much for jumping in the saddle with us. 67, dear listener. Prime number episode on the trail. A lucky prime number, in fact. Prime number episodes tend to go very well for the HSP boys, and we are certain that they go well for you too. 2 separate continents, 2 separate countries, 2 separate adult beverages just to make it fair, and 2 separate cups of coffee fee. 2 separate fact shamings, 2 separate show preps, 2 separate trails to the same inevitable conclusion. 67, dear listener. Probably 67 dead from coronavirus by the time this episode drops. You heard it here first. The Summer of Love in 1967 in San Francisco, which was a cup time indeed. 67 blocks the caller ID from your phone before you dial a number, dear listener. Give it a try. It's true. Star 67 by Drake. I can't even believe I just said that. Question 67 and 68 by Chicago. CV number 67, the number of the USS John F. Kennedy, which I have indeed been aboard. And you know what else 67 means, don't you, dear listener? The trail grows longer each and every single week. And 67 means that we've got 67 miles to ride on this trail right here, right now. So let's not tarry. Let's saddle up and ride into episode number 67, which is in the house presently. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Send us feedback at zero-gravity-media.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Podbean, and TuneIn, all 5 under Zero Gravity Media. Find us on YouTube, look for Zero Gravity Media and our God tier, Zero G logo. Leave us some feedback using the contact form at our website. That's zero-gravity-media.com/contact. Each week, Luke and I call out one city. And this city, the magic of this city, is the city with the most HSP listens during the previous week. So without any further ado, the city with the most HSP listens during the previous week is... It's becoming customary to say it, Luke. Yet again, not even close. And yet again, another brand new first place trail rider on this trail with us here this week. Silver Spring, Maryland commands the saddle this week. Way to throw down, Silver Spring, and welcome. Honorable mentions this week include Houston, Texas, and Boston, Massachusetts. As always, thank you so much, Houston. Thank you so much, Boston. We got some surprises in the metrics this week. We're going to call those out individually on episode number 70 when we do the worldwide shout outs to you, dear listener. But meanwhile, I will give a small spoiler. Luke, we're suddenly blowing it up in Poland. Believe it or not, cities all around Poland. We're blowing up, man. And that
based
is
Poland, man.
Yeah,
that's
based
why.
Poland, indeed. Indeed. Yeah. Dang, Luke. So are we full on Coronachan now? Is that where we at? We coronavirus?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've been Coronachan since back when I was in college every Saturday and Sunday morning. So I was severely infected with the coronavirus every weekend morning in college. And I mean, it wasn't just the call. I mean, I had a headache.
Yeah.
It was real bad every weekend.
Dude, you almost made me barf right then, dude.
Well, I mean, that was another side effect.
Another symptom, I know.
Often experienced.
Yeah.
You know, but back then the coronavirus could be cured with a simple cup of coffee.
That's true. Or it's true. Yeah. Now it's quite a different thing, man. You know, oxygen tanks, all kinds of stuff. I mean, we do understand that they've cured 38 cases of Coronachan virus so far. So, you know, we're starting to get a leg up on it. You know, that's great. That's great. So
you should probably explain Coronachan to the listeners.
Yeah. So, dear listener, Coronachan derives from Ebola-chan. Okay. Which, do you remember back in 2014 when the Ebola virus broke out all over Africa, particularly in Nigeria, if I recall correctly? And that cuck President Obama even started bringing Ebola cases from Africa here into the States. And sure enough, what do you think happened? Ebola broke out here in the United States. Didn't break out, but there were numerous cases, particularly in Dallas, Texas. Okay. Well, a meme began on 4chan that was called Ebola-chan, right? And they started drawing. It was this woman, you know, with like blood in her teeth and like kind of vampire teeth and bloodshot eyes and, you know, maybe soiled pants or a soiled skirt or something like that with the Ebola virus all around her wrist, around her head and everything, right? It was really scary stuff, but she was really cute and really funny. And what they would say on 4chan is they would post the Ebola-chan and they would say, your mother's going to die in her sleep tonight if you don't say, bless you, Ebola-chan. So there would be a whole thread upon thread upon thread, 350 posts. Bless you, Ebola-chan. Thank you. Thank you, Ebola-chan. I love you, Ebola-chan. And it became, I love you, Ebola-chan, eventually. Now, I knew about Pol back in those days, but Luke and I were already gestating and nurturing HSP back in those ancient days of 2014. And he asked me one night at a bar, he was like, do you get on Pol ever? I'm like, you know, sometimes. And so he said, dude, you need to be on right now because this thing called Ebola-chan is going on right now and it's hilarious. And he showed me on his phone and we sat there and laughed in the bar forever about all of these Ebola-chan memes that were coming out. It's really funny stuff. Now, so what has happened? You know, here we are 6 years later almost, and this is mutated. The virus has mutated from Ebola-chan into Coronachan. And of course, it's talking about the coronavirus, dear listener. And that's...
Well, there was a thing that we should mention about Ebola-chan before we move on from Ebola-chan.
Of course.
Was the white people that whites were doing it to kill black people.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That Western doctors. This was something that this was something that 4chan came up with as part of Ebola-chan. Actually, I've got on knowyourmeme.com right now. While the character began as a relatively innocuous fan art trend, others on the site soon began rallying behind an international scheme to fabricate a death cult movement based upon a conspiracy hoax that Ebola-chan was invented by white people, end quote, hoping it would catch on in the internet forums in regions where the local population have been heavily affected by the virus. According to the excerpts of the 4chan posts as cited by Vocative and International Business Times, some users openly expressed their desire to see the dissemination of such a racially divisive humor, which would further incite the escalating tension between blacks and whites in the continent. Anonymous posted, and dear listener, Anonymous is just any user on 4chan. They're just called Anons. Quote, if this ends up in the news, increasing tensions between blacks and whites in Africa where they are already superstitious and think Ebola is made up by whitey. Sure, we've not seen the flowering of this yet, but it's just a few days of the death cult posts. Ebola-chan herself isn't that old either. Give it time to work. Anonymous also posted, quote, if we keep it up soon enough, some African media will report it and people will start to spread the word that Ebola might be being spreaded. They misspelled being. Might be being spreaded by the white devil, and that's enough to help Ebola-chan. By September 17th, the phantomization of Ebola-chan on English-speaking image board communities had reached the earshot of Nigerian discussion forum Nairaland, where the character quickly became vilified as a plague goddess, end quote, summoned by ill-wishing Westerners who perform, quote, magical rituals in order to spread the disease and kill people, end quote. There is a new racist cult. This is what they wrote. There's a new racist cult in Europe and America. They hate Africans and worship an Ebola demoness whom they call, quote unquote, Ebola-chan. They perform magical rituals in order to spread the disease and kill people. They target the area they want to infect next using blood sacrifices. All caps. This is not a joke. Apparently, even some Ebola doctors are part of the cult and instead of treating the disease are deliberately spreading it. I even heard a rumor that they eat the heart of the victims because they think it grants magical protection, though I don't know if that's true. Some pictures of shrines and sacrifices I found, and it's like these incel basement-dwelling Anons on 4chan hobbling together some absurd, stupid-looking little sacrificial creation on top of their dresser, with candles lit and a little picture of Ebola-chan there and, stuff like that, a knife there and stuff like this. And anyways, so that was Ebola-chan. It ultimately basically it ended up being a huge troll on Africa media and media outlets who thought that it was legitimately invented by white people to kill Africans. And that Westerners were worshiping a demon goddess,
Yeah.
The demoness.
Lord have
that
mercy.
was there to, kill Africans.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
Now today we have Coronachan.
Yes. And this has been being memed out every which way. There is now a figure like the old Ebola-chan that is now Coronachan. The biggest meme I'm seeing going around on 4chan at the moment, it finally reached critical mass where they had to sticky all Coronachan posts. That means that there were so many spammed out threads on 4chan, they combined them all into one and made a sticky in the top left-hand corner when you go to the catalog section on poll. Okay. And what they're doing, Luke, is they have these yellow hazmat suits, and it's like, put who you want to save in the hazmat suit. So, there's like Melania in the hazmat suit. There are all these people, all these people are going crazy, photoshopping one after the other inside the hazmat suit. It's hilarious. It is hilarious. And
well, here's one with Ebola-chan inside Coronachan hazmat suit.
Now, dear listener, listen, people are dying. Okay. The official figure at this moment is 43. Okay. Luke and I don't mean to be indelicate here, but I'm sorry, Luke, there are people dying, but Corona is just not a big deal. Coronavirus is just not a big deal. Dear listener, take reasonable precautions. Don't lose sleep over this. Get some food if it makes you feel good. Get some water in case it really does turn into something. But dear listener, it's coronavirus. We've been knowing about this for forever, right?
At least 15, 20 years. Yeah. And it's curable.
It is curable, yes. And, the intelligent questions, Luke, I suppose, are these. Number one, why is it always effing China, dude? It's always China, right? Number two, go ahead.
In China, I mean, say number two, and then we'll talk about that.
Okay. Number two is, why did Bill and Melinda Gates and several other wealthy people patent the virus in 2015 and were granted the patent to the coronavirus in 2018 by the United States government? Bill and Melinda Gates, along with a consortium of other billionaires, own coronavirus. Literally own it. Isn't that strange?
I mean, Corona should own it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. True.
Well, here's the deal with the Chinese. Jessica and I, we traveled to China last year in August. We actually traveled to Hong Kong, and then we connected in Beijing to Hong Kong. So we went Frankfurt, Beijing, Hong Kong, and then on the way back we connected in Chengdu, which is a 15 million person. 15. I mean, and this just short tangent, short aside. This gives you an idea of the scale of China. When I saw on our flights, we were connecting in some town. We flew Singapore to Frankfurt via Chengdu. And I was like, Chengdu? I was like, what the hell is Chengdu? Never even heard of that town. Yeah, just a 15 million person city in Western China.
Right. Larger than every city in the U.S. Every single city. Yeah, it's massive.
I don't know about New York.
New York, last I heard, is 8. No, I think it's like 13 million. So yeah, you're right. It might not be as big as New York.
The metropolitan area. I think New York is like maybe top 10 in the world. Chengdu is like 15 or something. Yeah. Uh-huh. But I mean, it just gives you the scale. If you've never do this, dear listener, look at a map, go to Google Maps and start zooming in on China, and you'll start seeing these cities appear, and start clicking on those cities and looking at the wiki article on the side. And it's mind-boggling. It's like 1 million people, 2 million people, 5 million people, 3 million people, 6 million people, 1 million people, just dotting the map. It's insane.
Yeah, it's true.
Just to give you an idea of the scale of China. But China, for whatever reason, they are not... The reason they're having this problem, and I don't think that we would have this problem in the West, is because they do not have sanitary standards in China. When we're in the Chengdu airport, connecting again from Singapore to Frankfurt, I went to the bathroom. It was late. It was like 3 a.m. And I go to the bathroom, and I'm in there with, about 15 Chinese guys. And then I'm like the only Westerner in there. And I use the bathroom, and then I go to wash my hands. And all 15 of them just walked straight right out the door.
Oh, yeah.
One of them sort of obligingly, ran his one hand under the water briefly and then continued along his way. None of them washed their hands. They're all sick. They're all coughing. and they're coughing all over the place. They're hawking up loogies onto the sidewalk right in front of you. There was
Very
a guy
common occurrence.
clipping.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, there was a guy clipping his fingernails on the flight. I mean, fingernails flying around, and
God.
and
Wow.
doing it casually. And like, it's like Jessica and I were sitting there. I had the window. Jessica's, we always do it this way because she can lean on me. And so I had the window. Jessica's in the middle, and like we're flying, and I hear this like clipping sound. I'm like, sounds like someone's clipping their fingernails. I was like, but surely no one's clipping their finger. I peer across the aisle. Sure enough, Chinese guy sitting in the aisle, legs crossed, all cool and casual, just sitting there clipping his fingernails. Fingernails flying over the seat in front of him onto this woman's baby.
Dang.
And this thing that surprised me was not just that, but nobody even cared. The woman,
Yeah.
she's got fingernails flying onto her baby who's sitting and she doesn't even care. She's not even batting an eye,
Right.
And this is just how they roll. This is how this disease is spreading over there. This is why it wouldn't spread over here, because we actually have sanitary standards in our culture, and we don't do these kinds of things like hawking up loogies everywhere, spitting everywhere. Women letting their children urinate into the storm drain on the street in the middle of the day. We don't do this in the West. This is not a problem for us. They're having this issue because they have no sanitary standards.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a cultural thing. I heard, it was a long time ago, about 15 years ago or so, I heard on NPR that it was like 15% of the Chinese population brush their teeth. Seriously, 15% of the population brush their teeth. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably
what am
everybody.
I talking about? Yeah, it was 15 years ago. It was when the SARS epidemic happened, and they were talking about sanitary standards exactly like you just mentioned in China. Yeah.
And that 15%, that's 15% is probably the wealthy elite that live in Beijing and Shanghai and Shenzhen.
Hong Kong. Yeah, Shenzhen. Yeah. Probably. It's probably true. So,
yeah. So, I mean, this is why they have these outbreaks.
Yeah. I know that's why, but it's just always China though, man. Dang. I mean, China. Listen, we got a lot of dear listeners in China. We know that you brush your teeth and you don't clip your nails on people, right? Maybe start trying to make it a cultural meme that the rest of your culture adopts, So yeah. But have you heard about this bat soup thing? You said you didn't get on 4chan much this week, but did you hear about the bat soup?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so they located an open air meat market in Wuhan from where they think the virus originated. And they think that it originated from either a reptile based soup, snake soup, or a bat soup, right? So that was yet another meme that went all around 4chan this week is bat soup, right? And like there are photos of it, Luke, where they have like a soup and like the carcass of the bat as like a garnish on the edge of the bowl of soup, right? So they think that bat soup may have caused this outbreak of coronavirus, that the bat was carrying coronavirus. Somebody ate the coronavirus probably from an undercooked bat. And that there you go. Boogaloo is on, Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that probably wouldn't occur in the West is eating an undercooked bat.
Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, probably not. So
how would you like your bat, sir? Oh, definitely well done.
Yeah.
Our restaurant here, we're just not comfortable with cooking our bats less than medium.
Burn that son of a bitch, please. Crispy. I want my bat crispy.
Yeah.
My goodness. So, yeah, and there is an unconfirmed case in College Station. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, at A&M. Yeah, student.
Yeah, of a student. Yeah, who had
and it was
just
a grad
flown,
student.
It was a grad student who had just flown back from China.
I was about to say.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that somebody leaked it on 4chan. I guess it was on Wednesday. He was like, "Hey, my homegirl works at the Quack Shack. They have a case," and so it leaked on 4chan, and it became thread after thread after thread of College Station. All this anti-Aggie sentiment, all this pro-Aggie sentiment as well. Funny stuff about A&M, and some Aggie jokes in there about coronavirus and stuff. It was good bants. Good bull. And anyway, so then Brazos County ended up reporting it, and just a pet theory, Luke. I can't prove it, but I think that Brazos County was probably maybe going to try to stay dark on it, but 4chan leaked it everywhere. Somebody with direct knowledge of the Quack Shack, which, dear listener, the Quack Shack is the clinic there on the A&M campus. That's where this case was discovered. Okay. And it's slang.
It's the student like health clinic. It's like the student health doctor's office. Yeah.
Yep. And we call
it the Quack Shack because it was like notoriously bad.
Yeah, true.
I actually know somebody who went there and she said she had a stomach ache. She went there and the doctor asked her, have you taken a pregnancy test?
Oh, dang. Dang. Yeah, I went to the Quack Shack a few times. I did for various maladies. And but they've been calling it the Quack Shack since, I don't know the etymology of the slang. I'm going to say probably since the 30s, maybe 40s, something like that. I mean, it's always been, as Luke said, notoriously bad, so... Yeah.
Although I went there, I mean, I think that's a meme at this point that it's bad. I mean, I went there. It wasn't that bad.
I think it's gotten a lot better. Yeah.
Especially today.
I never had a problem there. I had to go numerous times and I never had a problem. So, yeah. But I mean, it was always for things like a sprained ankle. I didn't have anything like a stomach ache or anything like that. It was always, I don't know, getting hit in the face by a hammer by John. I'm just kidding you, John. It actually was the other way around, dear listener. I hit John in the face with a hammer one night, and I feel bad about it to this day. Things like that. It was skeletal muscular issues that are kind of wrap it up and you're done type of things that I went to the Quack Shack for, Oh, man. Beer number 1. I've been looking forward to this. So.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So, well, we should probably ride on, man. We have a bit of a mess of a trail map this week, like we did last week, dear listener. We've just kind of got a loose collection, of topics. We're just going to kind of blaze through them. And I suppose, Luke, that the thing that is on everybody's mind is impeachment. So maybe we should just go there first. What do you think about it?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right. So like impeach. So my mom asked me this week, she was like, why do you think the Republicans are starting the impeachment proceedings on Saturday? Don't you think that they would get more air coverage if they did it on Monday, that more people would cover it and more people would tune in? I was like, shit, Mom, they've got to do it on Saturday because they know the HSP boys got to cover it on Saturday. And if they don't do it Saturday, then the HSP boys can't cover it until the next Saturday. So they're trying to get ahead of the drop. So,
that's right. I mean, all of this is focused on us,
That's right. That's right, man. So, yeah.
They actually hit us back at our contact form on the website.
That's right. Yeah.
And they were like, yo, we need to know, like, when should we do this? We said Saturday morning.
Saturday, bro. That's right, man. So, yeah. And anyways, and it's true. It's true, dear listener. Luke just told the absolute truth. And so we're going to cover it. We're going to hook the Republicans up. We're going to help them out a little bit. So I watched it. I got up this morning and I watched it, and they went for 2 hours and 10 minutes, right? 130 minutes. And Luke, it was an absolute 130-minute ass whooping. That's the only way to put it. It was an absolute ass whooping.
Dear listener, I told Russ before the show, I said, you're going to have to red pill on this because I have not had any chance today I've been at a birthday party. I had my birthday party before that. And I have not had a chance to do anything. By the way,
happy birthday, bro. Happy belated birthday. Yeah, you bet, man. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I had the most vanilla birthday I've ever had in my entire life today.
Well,
we did like indoor blacklight putt golf.
Man, that sounds fantastic. That's great.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was fun, but far cry from my DJ on the roof 3 kegger that I had when I turned, I think it was like 20 or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I got quite a few years on you, man. And trust me, they become less special over time. So just so you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even, if I were single and lived by myself, like, honestly, I wouldn't even remember that it's my birthday, probably.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly. It's hard for me. So totally. So. Yeah, well, Luke, here's a little bit of audio for you. This is from CNN. Trump War Room tweeted this 2 hours ago. And the tweet is, CNN admits the Republicans are winning here. The president is winning here. Let me play it for you real fast.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just think, the Republicans are winning here. The president is winning here. I mean, again, I just think.
Yeah, you damn right. I mean, here's what it is, dear listener. What it took the Democrats 24 straight hours of squawking to build up has just been eviscerated by President Trump's attorneys. Eviscerated. There was a Zero Hedge piece that dropped just a couple of hours ago, and it's in the update section. The update from 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. And I quote from the piece thus: the word of the day is, quote, shredded, as in several Republicans have described the White House counsel's presentation as having shredded the House Democrats' impeachment arguments. Quote, in 2 hours, the White House counsel entirely shredded the case by White House managers, said Senator Joni Ernst, Republican Iowa, in a statement to reporters. Quote, what we saw today was factually relevant, and we saw there were a lot of half-truths from the House managers and, frankly, pushed by the media. Representative Lee Stefanik, Republican New York, offered similar comments, saying it took less than 2 hours to completely shred and eviscerate Adam Schiff's failed case for impeachment, adding, there is no case for impeachable offenses here, and it took less than 2 hours to do so. I think the American people are going to understand that. You damn right, Representative Stefanik. You're absolutely right. Mark Meadows.
Sorry, go ahead.
Good. Mark Meadows chimes in, shredded. 3 days of Democrat arguments shredded in 2 hours. And Adam Schiff had to run to a press conference and grab a microphone and talk about how Republicans were overreaching. And I've got that audio. Luke, I've got all kinds of audio to play for you, bro. Don't worry about missing it, man. I've got it all. I've got it all.
Play it.
Yeah. Which one you want to hear?
Well, hold on. Before we jump into that really quickly,
sure.
we should cover what happened during these 3 days by the left. We need, I watched a lot of it, and I'm actually in an advantageous position because I get a lot of my work done, like my heavy lifting, heavy lifting brain work, my big brain work, and like in the mornings at work. And then by the afternoon, that's when I can more listen to music and get my more passive activities done. Or usually, sometimes my day blows up, but on this particular day, it worked out like that. So I was able to listen to the impeachment hearings while I was working in the afternoon, and basically, long story short, the first day or maybe 2 days was, a lot of chest thumping by Nadler and Schiff. But what they were really doing was proposing resolutions to sway power into the favor of the left for the impeachment hearings or impeachment proceedings. And all but one of those resolutions were shot down by the right. The right was in lockstep on all of them except for one. And the one resolution was, is it resolution? Are they resolutions, Russ?
Amendments is what amendments to the procedure.
Yeah. There was one amendment that got pushed through, but it's not a big deal. It's like something I can't remember, but it's like when, God, I should have read about this before the show to refresh my memory because I don't have it in RAM right now. But it's like when somebody submits something in writing or when somebody submits something, then they want 48 hours instead of 24 hours or something to this effect to be able to review it. And then the other part of that amendment, so not a big deal, really. I mean, if any, it's just basically that is just to drag this out longer. That's the only reason the left wanted that, is just to drag this process out longer. So that's the effect that'll have. And then the other one is that when that witness testimonies get submitted to the official record, that's it. So that's like they proposed 11 things. One of them got through, and that's all it was.
Yeah. It's funny you say this because when that first amendment to instead of you have 24 hours to build your case over 2 days, which meant they start at 1 p.m. and they go till 1 a.m. building their case. And then they petitioned Mitch McConnell to amend that to 3 days. He granted that. Well, the vote went through and I was like, okay, here goes the cuckery right here. And it turned out to be no big deal. I mean, after what the Senate Republicans did today, rather Donald Trump's defense attorneys did today, it doesn't matter. Stretch it out as long as you want, bro. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
totally. I mean, I don't care. Like, stretch it out. Let it end quickly.
Yeah.
Stretch it out. I don't care. This is a winning.
Yeah.
This is a winning play for the right. Any way you look at it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
And that's basically all that happened. And the rest of it was just, Schiff and Nadler kvetching for like 2 straight days. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pretty much just so. Yeah.
What were the things that they were saying? Like, they called him a dictator. And they got, Chief Justice Roberts had to officially
step
what's the
in
word?
and reprimand. Yeah. Admonish is the legal
admonish, that's
term.
the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He had to admonish equally both sides, but that's not really what he meant. He was really admonishing Nadler and Schiff, specifically.
That was my
Nadler.
take as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my take as well. Because, I mean, Nadler apparently had some kind of a meltdown at that moment, man. Started shouting all this stuff. And yeah, it was weird. And, dear listener, the premise of their arguments is that it needs to be fair for the prosecution. That's so stupid. It's not how it works. It needs to be fair for the defense. Okay.
Right.
That is what the deal is here. And they're trying to make it unfair for the defense. And thus far failing. Thus far, And, a bit of note about procedure about this. I'm quoting from a conservative treehouse piece. I'm going to read 2 sentences. Quote, there will be 24 hours of presentation by House impeachment managers over 3 days, which we've just been through. 24 hours of presentation by defense team over 3 days, which we've been through day 1, which took 130 minutes, 2 hours and 10 minutes. Next, 16 hours of Senate questioning, 4 hours of closing arguments equally divided, and then a Senate debate/vote on further motions to include witnesses. So that's where we're at. That's how this is going to go. The trail map is laid out in the Senate very specifically about where they're going to go. Okay. Now, what Luke is talking about with this witness amendment that they made, they are going to go full court press to try to call witnesses at the end. Okay. At the end of this trail map that Luke and I just talked about, the left is. Okay. They are going to try to do this. This is a fail. Sure, let them do it, right? Because we've already won the argument about witness reciprocity. If they call one, then the Republicans call one.
Is that what we're doing?
No, they have so far heretofore been shot down in 2 separate votes forwarded by Chuck Schumer. Okay. 2 times it's been voted down strictly along partisan lines of 53 Republican nays, 47 Democrat yays. Okay. So it's likely not going to happen at this point, I say, but remember
the reciprocity thing.
Yeah, well, calling any witnesses at this point, But
okay, so
dear
Chuck
listener,
Schumer is proposing calling witnesses. So
Yeah.
Ted Cruz proposed this reciprocity thing, but not officially.
right?
Chuck Schumer came in and proposed calling witnesses, and then that got shot down.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. And Ted Cruz, kind of pitched that to the Republican caucus in the Senate. And he was like, hey, let them call witnesses. If they call one, we call one. They call 2, we call 2. Okay. That was what Rand Paul was talking about last week in that audio that we played in number 66, where he was like, bro, this is a trap. Excuse me, dear listener. There are vipers here in the Senate who want to allow the Democrats to call whomever they want and not allow the defense to call whomever they want. I agree with him. I think that that's a reasonable trap. Ted Cruz also agreed with him. I think, however, Luke, the way the Republican attorneys absolutely whooped the left's ass today, you know what? Just like you said, it's a win-win. Call witnesses, don't call witnesses. It doesn't matter. They've lost, right? It took them 130 minutes, dear listener, to absolutely BTFO the argument. And they have 16 hours left to further detail their case. And they've already won. So I predict it's going to go this way, Luke. I think, the left has been predicated thus far that people in the Republican Party are going to flip and vote for conviction of Donald Trump in the Senate. These cucks are the same ones as always, dear listener. Cuck Romney, Cuck Collins, and Cuck Murkowski. Okay. And maybe Cuck Lee. We've got all of them on Cuck Watch right now. All of them are kind of on permanent Cuck Watch, if you recall, dear listener. They think that they're going to flip and vote to convict the president. Still not enough to get the 67 votes that are necessary to convict the president, but the Democrats have been forwarding this agenda. Oh, they're going to turn Adam Schiff. Oh, he's so brilliant. He's such a good lawyer. Oh, my God. He's so good. Did you hear what he said? These Republicans surely are going to vote to convict the president. No. Not so much. After what just happened, Luke, there are going to be Democrats that flip against their caucus and vote with Republicans not to convict the president.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, if they were going to flip, they would have already flipped. But, because everything's been on party lines. You know what I mean? I
do, man. Sorry, I had to shed a layer just then, man. It was getting really hot up in here. I had to throw my sweatshirt off.
Oh, it's all good.
I hit the cough button so I could do that. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they're going to flip, they would have already flipped.
Absolutely so. They would have flipped right then when Big Nads Nadler brought forth the amendment to allow them to call witnesses procedurally. Right. They would have done it right then.
That was exactly what I was thinking earlier when you said something about that. I was like, well, these people would have flipped with the witnesses thing. When Rand Paul was like, there's vipers in the grass, I was like, well, not so far.
Yeah, true. True.
I mean, we had Collins and somebody else, and I've got a piece here. Where is it? Yeah, it's Collins. It was just Collins. She broke with the GOP, but it was this stupid amendment that doesn't even change anything important, That's the only thing.
Right.
So we had one Republican break on an amendment that doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's true. It's true because she's such a conscious conservative. Oh my God, I have to vote my conscience. What else am I supposed to do if I vote my conscience? So that's what she did. And it was all for show.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, the rules. So this is I've got a piece here. This is the shill, of course. The rules resolution initially only gave both parties 2 days to make opening arguments and did not automatically admit House evidence into the trial court. But a group of GOP senators, including Collins, took issue with the provisions during a closed-door lunch. They were subsequently changed to give both sides 3 days and to have House evidence included in the trial records. That's what it is. Senator Collins and others, so it was actually not just Collins, it was a few others, raised concerns about the 24 hours of opening statements in 2 days and the admission of the House transcript in the record. Her position has been that the trial should follow the Clinton model as much as possible. She thinks these changes are a significant improvement. It was Ann Collins and a couple of others. So, I mean, but like, who cares? It's just, and it actually follows the Clinton model, even though I hate that stupid argument. It's like, just because it's
same
the
here,
Clinton model doesn't mean it's
exactly
good.
Yeah, exactly. Clinton was guilty of crimes. I mean, perjury, trying to influence a jury, right?
We should be looking at the Clinton model and being like, okay, that was flawed. How can we fix the Clinton model?
Yeah. There were what in his impeachment? There were either 11 or 17 criminal charges against President Clinton. We've got 2 articles of impeachment here in this case with Donald Trump, and there are no crimes alleged. In fact, their arguments, their articles of impeachment are so flimsy, they want to redo discovery in the Senate where they should have done it in the House. They want to redo discovery in the Senate because they know they don't have the goods. So I'm the same as you, Luke. I don't think that this should even at all resemble the Clinton impeachment. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, dude, let's start playing some audio, man. I'm itching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, let me see. Let me bring up my browser here. Where do I want to start? You know what? Let's take it here from Jay Sekulow. All right. So, here's what I propose, Luke. Audio break number 1. I say that we start with Cipolloni's very opening arguments at the very beginning of the trial. So we do that for audio break 1. You cool with that? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to zoom into the future from Pat Cipollone right now. We're going to play some things that Jay Sekulow says here. Okay. So here coming at you right here, dear listener.
Mr. Chief Justice, Majority Leader McConnell, Democratic Leader Schumer, House managers, members of the Senate. Let me begin by saying that you cannot simply decide this case in a vacuum. Mr. Schiff said yesterday, I believe it was his father who said, you should put yourself in someone else's shoes. Let's for a moment put ourselves in the shoes of the President of the United States right now. Before he was sworn into office, he was subjected to an investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigation called Crossfire Hurricane. The president, within 6 months of his inauguration, found a special counsel being appointed to investigate a Russia collusion theory. In their opening statement, several members of the House managers tried to once again relitigate the Mueller case.
All right, I want to stop here for just a second, Luke, and I want to play some more. But dear listener, refer back to episodes number 66 and number 65, and even previous to that, where Luke and I said this whole impeachment saga, Spygate, Flynnegate, FISA abuse, all of this is starting to become one story. Jay Sekulow is now making this one story, just for the context of what's going on. Impeachment now is specifically about Spygate, right? Specifically. Okay. Let me go on, Luke. Sorry to interrupt, man.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Here's the bottom line. This is part one of the Mueller report. This part alone is 199 pages. The House managers in the presentation a couple of times referenced this for that. Let me tell you something. This cost $32 million.
Dang.
This investigation took 2,800 subpoenas. This investigation had 500 search warrants. This had 230 orders for communication records. This had 500 witness interviews. All to reach the following conclusion. And I'm going to quote from the Mueller report itself. It can be found on page 173. As it relates to this whole matter of collusion and conspiracy. Ultimately, these are the words of Bob Mueller in his report. This investigation did not establish that the campaign coordinated or conspired with the Russian government in its election interference activities. Let me say that again.
Yeah, let's hear it again.
The Mueller report, resulted in this. That for this. Ultimately, the investigation did not establish that the campaign coordinated or conspired with the Russian government in its election-related interference activities.
Dang. So you see what happened right here, dear listener. You remember quid pro quo? Oh my God, the president, he told Ukraine he would not give him aid if they did not investigate his political opponent. Oh my God. Remember that? Jay Sekulow just flipped the quid pro quo argument on its head against them. The quid pro quo was this for the Mueller report, right? They are hanging the Mueller report around the necks of the House impeachment managers right now, dude. It is glorious. Ass whooping. And also, Luke, I think this is going on as well. There's a tacit implication here, right? A tacit implication in the speeches of everybody. Pat Cipollone, everybody. I've got so much more audio to play that, bro, okay, here's your last warning. If you really want to go there, we're going to go there. And I think that that's what the Republicans outlined today, right? They held that Mueller report up in physical form. This for that, or that for this, right here. $32 million, 2,800 subpoenas, 500 witness testimonies. That for this. And there is a stark warning here to the Democrats, dude. I think that's just the way I read it. What do you think about it, man?
It's honestly disappointing, man. Just go after them. What are they waiting on? Like, why don't they just go?
I agree with you. Yeah. I mean, they
why
should.
It's like, why the warning? Why the shot across the bow? Just torpedo them, you know?
Yeah. It's a fair question. It's a fair question. I have only a theory about that, and I can't prove it. Okay. I think the Republicans are trying to give them an opportunity to let this go. Just let it go right now. They're not going to, but the Republicans are giving them one last opportunity to just walk away. Everybody, let's walk away. Let's just call the vote. We know exactly what the result is going to be. It's going to be 53-47. So let's just call it.
I would agree with that if there was something to let go of. If Trump actually did something wrong, and then they're saying, okay, but you guys have done a bunch of wrong things too. So here's a shot across the bow. Let what Trump did wrong go. Yeah. Trump didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing to let go of. They're just simply attacking him. You don't do when someone's like, again, going back to this boat analogy, if someone is launching torpedoes at your boat, you don't give a shot across the bow.
Yeah, that's true. You shoot back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Uh-huh. So this is the thing that always upsets me about the right. I'll never be satisfied with them until they just start having not a full-throated defense, but a full-throated attack.
Yeah. Dang, dude, you just red-pilled me. I'm with you on that. I completely agree. I think it's brilliant argumentation. I think they absolutely destroyed the Democrat case this morning. But I totally get your point. What they should have done is not only destroy the Democrat case, go on the offensive. Go on the offensive for the president then and there.
Yeah, they should call Hunter. They should call Joe. They should call Obama. They should call Hillary. They should call all of them, everybody. They should call the ambassador that came out this week when she was talking. Did you hear about this? Ambassador Yovanovitch, I think that's her name.
Yeah.
That when she was like running around telling them, oh, don't worry, he's going to be impeached.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this? Call her on there.
Yeah.
And say, when did you say, when did you make you made these statements before he was ever impeached.
Yeah.
Well,
we know that who Donald Trump's attorneys. Now we don't know what Cuck Romney wants. We don't know what Cuck Collins wants. We don't know what Cuck Murkowski wants. Right. But we know in an ideal world who Donald Trump's attorneys like Sekulow, like Philbin, like Cipollone, who they would want are Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, Eric Ciaramella, the whistleblower, and Adam Schiff himself, since he is a material witness in this case. That's who they would like to call. The caution here from Rand Paul, as we detailed last week in 66, is that the Cuck Republicans won't allow it to happen. Nonetheless, dude, I get your point.
But again, do it. But again, the Cuck Republicans didn't allow it to happen. They voted against the amendment to allow witnesses.
True, they did.
Which, by the way, this is a good time to bring this up. So Trump has assembled his defense team, and good God, dude, it's pretty good.
Some heavy hitters. Yeah.
We've got Jim Jordan, who you should know. He's out of Ohio, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Lee Zeldin, Elise Stefanik. She was the one that got all the media attention during the House hearings for having just really good lines of questioning. Lines of questions. Debbie Lesko, Mark Meadows, who's always really good, John Ratcliffe, who's really good, Doug Collins, who's really good, and Mike Johnson. So again, going to two things. I mean, these guys are all really good. Jim Jordan is a fantastic cross-examiner. He has really good cross-examinations. He is really hard to deal with in a cross-examination.
For sure.
And you've got all these guys, they're super principled. And again, going back to our premise, these are Freedom Caucus people. Trump is now formally, Russ and I observed, okay, Trump's associating with them. It's not a casual association anymore. Now it's a legal, formal association.
That's right, man.
With the Freedom Caucus.
Absolutely 100% correct. Yep.
Tea Party president, man.
Yeah, man. Indeed. Who would have thunk? But it ended up happening. So, excuse me, I had to hit the cough button, dear listener. And also, you got Jay Sekulow, you got Pat Philbin, you got Pat Cipollone. You've got, I think Dersh is going to come in and make constitutional arguments at some point in time.
Dershowitz,
And you've got Ken Starr, who, as I detailed last week in number 66, not the biggest fan. That's just me,
I want to stop you there. So I had a dear listener ask me, why you didn't like him. And my response, and I didn't have I didn't know the actual answer, but my response is, I'm guessing Russ doesn't necessarily like him, or doesn't like him, not necessarily for skill related reasons, but you don't like him personally because he defended Epstein.
There are a number of reasons. There are a number of reasons, most of which are personal. It's not about skill. You're right. Although I don't think that we should have done what we did in the way we did to President Clinton, right? I was against it at that time, and I still don't think that it was very wise, because now we've started impeachment war that will never end, right? My feelings about Ken Starr are exactly as you said. Number two, he was the president of Baylor at the time Texas A&M tried to leave the Big 12, and he wanted to sue us for hundreds of millions of dollars, and he can kiss my ass because of that. We should be able to do whatever the hell we want to do. Okay? Yeah.
So
we got Epstein.
Personal reasons unrelated to Epstein also.
Yes, indeed. Not to mention, and we've got enough Baylor, dear listeners, here on the trail that I don't want to bring it up and insult their university. But the things that were going on in their athletic program under Ken Starr's presidency are reprehensible, and he skated. He had to step down as president after all of this was revealed. That son of a bitch should be in jail because he knew about it. He knew what was going on. And so that's all I've got to say.
Sounds like a good topic for a Shoe Bros show.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, it actually is right up their alley. So those are my three
Bros,
reasons.
You need to get on that.
Yeah, boys. We could have us on. We can talk about this all day long. Tell you what, we can talk about it all day long. So those are my reasons. So please inform, dear listener, my reasons are 3 for despising that son of a bitch. So yeah.
All right. Well, I got at least one of them correct.
Yeah, you did. But you remember all those memes that came out? They were really funny. One does not simply leave the Big 12.
Oh yeah. I mean, those are old memes now, though.
They are. They're stale. But I mean, that was what, 2011 when that was going on. So yeah,
I mean, you got to be careful about how, spinning yourself into the web of these huge organizations. I mean, the same could be said about Brexit. One does not simply leave the EU. Yeah. Well, speaking of which, did you hear that it's like final?
Yes, I did, on the 31st. Yep. Dang, I did, man. That's white pilling stuff, man. I didn't expect it that quickly, but it's final and deliberate. Way to go, Brits. Here's one for you right here. Way to go. Over.
Yeah, Jessica's asleep in the room next door, so I got to do a golf clap.
Yeah, golf clap.
When we record late, dear listener, you might know sometimes I'm a little louder, sometimes I'm a little quieter, speaking, very just audibly. And it just has to do with the time of day that I'm recording. Like at episode 66, we started pretty early, but then it got late because it was such a long show. So like in the beginning of the episode, I'm loud and projecting my voice. At the end, I'm talking like I'm talking right now. And tonight's an example where we're recording late. Jessica's asleep, and I kind of just have to, speak just at the bottom of my voice, sort of a thing. I don't even know if anybody's ever noticed that, but I do.
Yeah. I can tell. I totally understand, man. I mean, yeah, we would never prevail to keep Jessica up at night, but it's getting late in Germany time right now. It is, man. So this time difference, dear listener, we're not bitching or anything, but it is difficult to deal with. It's hard. It has to be managed constantly. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Back to this impeachment business. I've got even more hard hitting audio. Do you want to hear some more?
Yeah, dude. I want to hear all of it. I want to hear all the audio you have.
Okay. Wait a second.
And the reason I want to hear all the audio is because this is a rare moment when the right is not behaving like cocks. So I'm basking. Yeah. I'm basking in the decuckery. This never happens. The right never has the cojones to come out and do these kinds of things.
True. Mm-hmm. Yeah. True. Yeah, it's true. All right. Well, let's see what we got here. Let me hit the stop button here real quick. We've got Patrick Philbin. He steps in. I think he was the fourth in line to speak today, dear listener, and he obliterates all of it. Let's take a listen to what he has to say here real fast.
And at the time, in a House report, the House Judiciary Committee explained, I'm quoting, because the issue of impeachment is of such overwhelming importance, the committee decided that it must receive authorization from the full House before proceeding on any further course of action. Because impeachment is delegated solely to the House of Representatives by the Constitution, the full House of Representatives should be involved in critical decision-making regarding various stages of impeachment. Here, the House Democrats skipped over that step completely.
Yep.
What they had instead was simply a press conference from Speaker Pelosi announcing that she was directing committees to proceed with an impeachment inquiry against the President of the United States.
Yep.
Speaker Pelosi didn't have the authority to delegate the power of the House to those committees on her own. So why does it matter? It matters because the Constitution places that authority in the House and ensures that there is a democratic check on the exercise of that authority, that there will have to be a vote by the full House before there can be a proceeding to start inquiring into impeaching the President of the United States. One of the things that the framers were most concerned about in impeachment was the potential for a partisan impeachment.
True.
A partisan impeachment that was being pushed merely by a faction. And a way to ensure a check on that is to require democratic accountability from the full House to have a vote from the entire House before an inquiry can proceed. That didn't happen here. It was only after 5 weeks of hearings that the House decided to have a vote. And what that meant at the outset was that all of the subpoenas that were issued under the law, the Supreme Court cases I discussed, all of those subpoenas were invalid. And that is what the Trump administration pointed out specifically to the House. That was the reason for not responding to them.
Yep. Just so. Just so. It's a bit of a defensive argument, but I like it nonetheless.
Yeah.
And dear listener, they are for this framing in the Constitution about the articles of impeachment argument, the way it's written in the Constitution. He is quoting the Federalist Papers from, I believe it's Hamilton. It might be John Adams, but I think it's Hamilton, actually, right? That they did not ever want it be allowed to happen, that there could be a partisan impeachment in the House of Representatives. That's what we see happening right here. And that's what Philbin just, I think, spelled out pretty well. But it's a bit of a defensive argument, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't have a lot to add to that, but I agree.
Yeah.
It's a defensive argument, but valid.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to zoom forward a few seconds. I hope he gets to the part that I really want you to hear. So here we are.
To allow the president to participate.
Yep. Okay, now this is a master stroke. I'm going to back it up a little bit. Here we go.
They offered the president due process at the House Judiciary Committee. And Manager Nadler described it as that he sent the president a letter, the president's counsel a letter, offering to allow the president to participate. And the president's counsel just refused, as if that was the only exchange. And there was just a blanket refusal to participate. But let me explain what actually happened. And I should note before I get into those details, there was a suggestion also that due process is not required in the House proceeding, that it's simply a privilege. But that wasn't the position that Manager Nadler has taken in the past. In 2016, he said, quote, "The power of impeachment is a solemn responsibility assigned to the House by the Constitution and to this committee by our peers. That responsibility demands a rigorous level of due process." And in the Clinton impeachment in 1998, he explained, what does due process mean? It means, among other things, the right to confront the witnesses against you, to call your own witnesses, and to have the assistance of counsel. Now, I think we all know that all of those rights were denied to the president in the first 2 rounds of hearings. The first round of secret hearings in the basement bunker, where Manager Schiff had 3 committees holding hearings, and then in a round of public hearings to take the testimony that had been screened in the basement bunker and have it in a public televised setting, which was totally unprecedented in any presidential impeachment inquiry. In both the Clinton and the Nixon inquiries, for every public hearing, the president was allowed to be present by counsel and cross-examine witnesses. But the House managers say that's all right because when we got to the 3rd round of hearings, after people had testified twice, then we were going to allow the president to have some due process. But the way that played out was this. First, they scheduled a hearing for December 4th that was going to hear solely from law professors. And by the time they wanted the president to commit whether he would participate, it was unclear. They couldn't specify how many law professors or who the law professors were going to be. And the president's counsel wrote back and declined to participate in that. But at the same time, Manager Nadler had asked what other rights under the House Resolution 660, the rules governing the House inquiry, the president would like to exercise.
Dang. So there it is right there. Now that, I would say, Luke, is an attacking argument. Not only is there this constitutional basis prohibiting and hopefully prohibiting partial impeachments, impeachments by faction. You deprive the president of due process in the House hearing. That's Philbin's argument. I think he made it pretty effectively, right? It's a very accusatory argument, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I mean, again, I don't have a lot to add beyond what you just said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they're just laying out the facts. I wish he would I wish he would sound a little more impassioned, but
all of them I wish they would, but they are very arcane, very deliberate in tone, and but I'm with you. Don't get me wrong. I am totally with you.
Yeah.
So
and like I think it was
Jay Sekulow?
Sekulow, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was like looking at this article, Murkowski, and I was like, it's like I was combining Sekulow and Murkowski. Yeah, dude, Sekulow like tore them apart, dude. That to me, I was like, oh, this is so great. This is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. And Pat Cipollone does as well, right at the very outset of it. And we'll play that for audio break 1, just to kind of, in case you haven't heard it already, dear listener, kind of get you in the mood. So Luke, I know that we both have to go refresh bevs and all that kind of stuff, but give that a listen because Cipollone, I hear it pronounced both ways. Dude, he lays waste like Sekulow did. He truly does. So yeah.
Well, then why don't we jump into that and take a break?
Before let's do it that way. And then I'm going to play Adam Schiff's press. Do you want to hear Adam Schiff's press conference now before we go to break? Or do you want to hear it after we come back from break?
Let's do it after.
The order. Yeah. In the sequence of events. I agree. All right. So let me, I've got so many browser tabs open, Luke. Okay. All right, here we go. I've got it right here. So dear listener, thank you so much for riding along the first third of these 67 miles with us. We hope you're enjoying it as much as Luke and I are. Take a listen to Pat Cipollone right here as he opens the Republican defense of Donald J. Trump in the Senate. We hope you enjoy it. Luke and I'll be back at you before you know it.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Justice. Senators, Leader McConnell, Democratic Leader Schumer, thank you for your time. And thank you for your attention. I want to start out just very briefly giving you a short plan for today. We're going to be very respectful of your time. As Leader McConnell said, we anticipate going about 2 to 3 hours at most, and to be out of here by 1 o'clock at the latest. We're going to focus today on 2 points. You heard the House managers speak for nearly 24 hours over 3 days. We don't anticipate using that much time. We don't believe that they have come anywhere close to meeting their burden for what they're asking you to do. In fact, we believe that when you hear the facts, and that's what we intend to cover today, the facts, you will find that the president did absolutely nothing wrong. And what we intend to do today, and we'll have more presentations in greater detail on Monday, but what we intend to do today is go through their record that they established in the House. And we intend to show you some of the evidence that they adduced in the House that they decided over their 3 days and 24 hours that they didn't have enough time or made a decision not to show you. And every time you see one of these pieces of evidence, ask yourself, why didn't I see that in the first 3 days? They had it. It came out of their process. Why didn't they show that to the Senate? And I think that's an important question, because as House managers, really their goal should be to give you all of the facts, because they're asking you to do something very, very consequential, and I would submit to you, to use a word that Mr. Schiff used a lot, very, very dangerous. And that's the second point that I'd ask you to keep in mind today. They're asking you not only to overturn the results of the last election, but as I've said before, they're asking you to remove President Trump from the ballot in an election that's occurring in approximately 9 months. They're asking you to tear up all of the ballots across this country on your own initiative. Take that decision away from the American people. And I don't think they spent 1 minute of their 24 hours talking to you about the consequences of that for our country. Not 1 minute. They didn't tell you what that would mean for our country today, this year, and forever into our future. They're asking you to do something that no Senate has ever done. And they're asking you to do it with no evidence. And that's wrong. And I ask you to keep that in mind. I ask you to keep that in mind. So what I would do is point out one piece of evidence for you, and then I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues, and they will walk you through their record, and they will show you things that they didn't show you. Now, they didn't talk a lot about the transcript of the call, which I would submit is the best evidence of what happened on the call. And they said things over and over again that are simply not true.
Law, read the transcript.
One of them was, there's no evidence of President Trump's interest in burden sharing. That wasn't the real reason. But they didn't tell you that burden sharing was discussed in the call, in the transcript of the call. They didn't tell you that. Why? Let me read it to you. Here's the president, and we'll go through the entire transcript. I'm not going to read the whole transcript. We'll make it available. I'm sure you have it, but we'll make available copies of the transcript so you can have it. The president said, and they read this line, I will say that we do a lot for Ukraine. We spend a lot of effort and a lot of time. But they stopped there. They didn't read the following. Much more than European countries are doing. And they should be helping you more than they are. Germany does almost nothing for you. All they do is talk. And I think it's something that you should really ask them about. When I was speaking to Angela Merkel, she talks Ukraine, but she doesn't do anything. A lot of European countries are the same way. So I think it's something you want to look at, but the United States has been very, very good to Ukraine. That's where they picked up again with the quote. But they left out the entire discussion of burden sharing. Now, what does President Zelensky say? Does he disagree? No, he agrees. They didn't tell you this. Didn't have time in 24 hours to tell you this. Yes, you are absolutely right. Not only 100%, but actually 100%. And I can tell you the following. I did talk to Angela Merkel, and I did meet with her. And I also met and talked with Macron. And I told them that they are not doing quite as much as they need to be doing on the issues with the sanctions. They are not enforcing the sanctions. They are not working as much as they should work for Ukraine. It turns out that even though logically the European Union should be our biggest partner, but technically the United States is a much bigger partner than the European Union. And I'm very grateful to you for that, because the United States is doing quite a lot for Ukraine. Much more than the European Union, especially when we are talking about sanctions against the Russian Federation. Okay. You heard a lot about the importance of confronting Russia, and we're going to talk about that. And you will hear that President Trump has a strong record on confronting Russia. You will hear that President Trump has a strong record of support for Ukraine. You will hear that from the witnesses in their record that they didn't tell you about. So that's one very important example. They come here to the Senate and they ask you, remove a president, tear up the ballots in all of your states. And they don't bother to read the key evidence of the discussion of burden sharing that's in the call itself. Now, that's emblematic of their entire presentation. I'm going to turn the presentation over to my colleague, Mike Propura. He's going to walk you through many more examples of this. And with each example, ask yourself, why am I just hearing about this now after 24 hours of sitting through arguments? Why? And the reason is, we can talk about the process, we will talk about the law, but today we are going to confront them on the merits of their argument. Now, they have the burden of proof. And they have not come close to meeting it. In fact, and I want to ask you to think about one issue regarding process, beyond process. If you were really interested in finding out the truth, why would you run a process the way they ran? If you were really confident in your position on the facts, why would you lock everybody out of it from the president's side? Why would you do that? We will talk about the process arguments, but the process arguments also are compelling evidence on the merits, because it's evidence that they themselves don't believe in the facts of their case. And the fact that they came here for 24 hours and hid evidence from you is further evidence that they don't really believe in the facts of their case. That this is, for all their talk about election interference, that they're here to perpetrate the most massive interference in an election in American history. And we can't allow that to happen. It would violate our Constitution. It would violate our history. It would violate our obligations to the future. And most importantly, it would violate the sacred trust that the American people have placed in you and have placed in them. The American people decide elections. They have one coming up in 9 months. So we will be very efficient. We will begin our presentation today. We will show you a lot of evidence that they should have showed you. And we will finish efficiently and quickly so that we can all go have an election. Thank you, and I yield to my colleague, Michael Propera.
Justice. Members of the Senate, good morning. Again, my name is Michael Propera. I serve as Deputy Counsel to the President. It is my honor and privilege to appear before you today on behalf of President Donald J. Trump.
And what is the President's response? Well, it reads like a classic organized crime shakedown. Shorn of its rambling character and in not so many words, this is the essence of what the President communicates. We've been very good to your country, very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it. On this and on that, I'm going to put you in touch with people, and not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked. This is, in character, what the President was trying to communicate.
Welcome back to HSP episode number 67, dear listener. Russ, man, that was a great first clip.
Dang. Yes, it was. It sure was. And reportedly, on the Gateway Pundit, I had a piece pulled up, but I can't find it at the moment. Reportedly, Adam Schiff sitting there, the House manager in the Senate, when they played that clip of him making up President Trump's testimony from the fake transcript, right? Reportedly, the color drained from his face.
Yeah, because that was so ridiculous. I mean, Trump was just sort of offhandedly like, yeah, if you need help, let us know. I can put you in touch with this person. That's all Trump said in the transcript.
Pretty much.
Ukraine.
Pretty much. Yeah. Read the transcript. It's right there. And, you know, the left keeps making this argument. Oh, my God, I'm not taking advice from President Trump's note takers. I'm not going to listen. This isn't what was happening in the phone call. Well, bro, produce something better. Give us your recording of the phone call with Zelensky. Oh, what? You don't have it? Well, then this remains the best evidence that we have of that phone call still to this day. And you can't mean it into something that it wasn't. Adam Schiff, you liar. You absolute liar. And dang. Yeah, it was explosive, Luke. I mean, they did it right out of the gate. They played Adam Schiff. Oh, man. Not to mention they made the argument. They're not just trying to overturn the 2016 election. They're trying to overturn the 2020 election as well. And they also made the argument that there is no evidence. They also made they laid out everything. Cipollone just BTFO'd the whole thing right then and there, man. That is white pilling stuff. I found that to be a very confrontational and aggressive argument. What did you think?
Agreed, dude. Agreed entirely. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's these it's Trump, dude. He assembled a good legal team, a solid legal team. I'm very happy with his decisions here. Yeah.
Hashtag me too, man. I am too. Again, I had reservations last week in episode number 66, and I stand by those reservations about bringing in Dershowitz and bringing in Ken Starr. I've got reservations about that, but they're personal. They're personal.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, Dershowitz was not brought in. He's just going to give a scathing criticism of this whole impeachment for an hour, and he's done. So he's not a part of the team. He was not brought in.
That's my understanding as well. Yeah, he's outlaying constitutional principles. Is I understand it. We'll see it when it happens. So, but I agree with you, man. This is a locked and cocked superstar legal team, and again, dear listener, they had 8 hours allocated to them to make these arguments. They did it in 2 hours and 10 minutes. Done. We're done here. Go home. Enjoy your Saturday, libs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I expect much more of this on Monday and Tuesday of this coming week. And I don't know, man. Do you have any predictions about how long this entire sham goes? Do you have any predictions about that?
2 more weeks to 4 more weeks, I would say.
Yeah.
2 to 4 more weeks.
Exactly. Hashtag me too. Exactly. So, yeah, I think closer to 2 than 4, but that's exactly the time frame I'm looking at. 2 to 4 more weeks. There's going to be plenty more leftists squawking. There's going to be plenty more from Adam Schiff. And we've got some audio queued up from his presser today with Jerry Nadler, Hakeem Jeffries, and that ugly woman. I can't remember her name right off the tip of my tongue, but we'll play that for you as well. They came out and opposed the Republican argumentation at a presser. They are not going to be able to do it in the Senate. Let me tell you what, dear listener, but they're still going to squawk and squawk and squawk. That's what it is. That's what they do. So I'm right there with you. In short, 2 to 4 weeks, closer to 2. So let's call it 3, something like 3 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You want to hear a Schiff show? You want to hear this audio real fast?
I absolutely detest Adam Schiff.
I do too.
Such a worthless scumbag.
Yeah. Total sack of Schiff. Yes, he is. So
yeah, I hate his voice. I hate just everything about him. His voice, his buggy eyes. I mean, what the hell? Does he try to open his eyes wide, or is that just natural? I don't know.
I don't know, dude.
His buggy eyes, the way he speaks, his just general demeanor, every ounce of that human being, I absolutely detest.
I do too, man. I'm right. His pencil neck.
Yeah, his neck.
I'm right there with you, man.
Just everything about him. He is the most reprehensible human being in our political system, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, maybe Ilhan Omar, maybe, but it's close, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, she doesn't have
really
the power
close
that he has.
True.
That's why I detest him.
That is true.
Jerry Nadler kind of looks like he's just sort of playing a role. Yeah. Adam Schiff looks like literally a movie character, like trying to pull something off. Pelosi seems to be sort of struggling and like, oh God, why maybe I should just retire. That's like, it seems like that's what she's thinking. And Nadler's kind of like the same, but Schiff is like trying to make all of this work out. He's just such a reprehensible human being.
Yeah, I agree with you. And let me say, I can't prove it yet. Actually, I can prove it. Okay. I think that he is going full court press on this the way that he is because, dude, he is in serious deep shit with the malfeasance he's committed with the whistleblower, all of these things. He is in deep shit right now. And so he has got to get this ball across the goal line or I don't know, man. Maybe he has to resign from Congress. Maybe he's prosecuted. I don't know. I mean, we've got contempt of Congress, lying about the whistleblower. These are just things about Donald Trump with the impeachment, right? What else we got? Leaking to the media, classified information. Yeah. We can prove it. We've got all of these things that are, dang, man, it's going to put him in the calaboose if he's not careful, And so I suspect this is the reason for his fervency in what he's doing. I suspect. So, we'll see. We'll see.
We talked about in a past show about bluffing and how this is just, it's just like poker,
Yeah.
They're into a bluffing hand, and
so.
they've got to ride it out to the end at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They're so bought in.
Yeah. Yeah. Just so. Well, let's listen to what this cuck has to say real quick. It's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We might not be able to make it that long, dude.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
But
let's listen.
Let's try to make it a minute, but if we can't, it's all good. Just cut it off anytime, bro. I get it. All right, coming at you.
Arguments, though, and this really takes your breath away. And this also, I think, underscores the real danger to this country by this president's continued occupancy of the Oval Office is the argument that Jay Sekulow made, essentially that the president has good reason not to trust his own intelligence agencies. And the corollary of that is he has good reason to trust Vladimir Putin more.
Hold on, dude.
Did
you hear the little comment, like the choice of words he used? He described Donald Trump's presidency as a continued occupancy.
Yes.
Yes,
I did.
He throws these little insidious comments in there because it makes it seem as though we're occupying a foreign territory that doesn't belong to us.
Right.
So he says continued occupancy of the White House. He's not occupying the White House. He's the president. That's why he's at the White House. He was elected president. It's not like he invaded the White House and he's occupying it. So this is why Adam Schiff is such a dangerous human being, is that he throws these little words in there that it's a psychological trick.
Yes, it is.
Anyways,
it's conceptual package dealing on a macro level, right? Rather than conceptually packaging terms, you're conceptually packaging concepts, right? It's a linguistic trick, and dude, the left fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. It's unbelievable, but they do, and yeah, I find this really insidious as well, man. A corruption of language and a corruption of honesty and a corruption of political discourse entirely. And I find this son of a bitch just as dangerous as you. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Dangerous, man. Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else we got.
Saddle up to try to go a little bit more. We made it 31 seconds so far.
Yeah, and I mean that was the first thing he said, and I was like, I want to hear what he says now. But yeah,
I know. All right, coming at you. Here we go.
Wrap your head around. But that is the argument of the president's lawyer. He has every right to disbelieve his own intelligence agencies and thereby accept the opinion of our adversary, Vladimir Putin.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, first of all, he does have every right he wishes to doubt the thoughts of his intelligence agencies. He has every right.
I mean, everybody has a right to doubt the thoughts of everybody. There's nobody who's off the table in terms of doubting.
You have the right not just to think that, you have the right to express it. God, what a cuck, man. What a cuck. It's painful, man. All right, let's try to get through a little more.
Everything is perfect, including the president's performance in Helsinki, apparently.
Yeah.
Now, they say that it's a false choice to say, well, if Russia intervened in the election, why couldn't Ukraine have intervened? Never mind that contradicts what our own intelligence agencies, what our own FBI director, what our own bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee found.
Bro, what are you talking about? Our intelligence agencies did find that Ukraine interfered in our election. What are you talking about? That's why Paul Manafort rots in solitary confinement right now, because of the contention that Ukraine interfered in our election. False dichotomy. Man, Luke, you know what, man, I'm getting triggered. I think I might have reached the end of my rope on that one, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you, man.
Yeah. All right. Let's try to squeeze another 15 seconds in. Here we go.
What the Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee found, what the Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee sometimes admit and sometimes not. Never mind all of that. They say, why couldn't both countries have intervened? Well, first, they didn't. OK, there was only one systemic interference in our election. That was by Russia. But second,
really,
what they're talking about here What the president is talking about here is the server.
Exactly. And this is what drove the left bonkers when he talked about the CrowdStrike server. We know you've got the server. We'd like to take a look at it. Oh, yes, Mr. President, we do have the server. We will get it to you in due course. That's what this has always been about, Luke. They have the smoking gun evidence that CrowdStrike lied about Russia interfering in the United States election in 2016 in the guise of stealing the DNC's emails, right? They were like, CrowdStrike was like, again, dear listener, you know these details, but just for the record, let's lay it out once again. Russia hacked the DNC server. We've already proven this 6 ways to Sunday that it didn't happen. William Binney's experiment that proved it couldn't happen, blah, 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 blah. We know who did hack the DNC server. Indeed, don't we? We know exactly what his name is, don't we, dear listener? Oh, yes, we do. But instead of the DNC turning that server over to the FBI for forensic investigation, they hired a third-party company based in Ukraine, as a matter of fact, with a Ukrainian CEO named CrowdStrike that came in and lied about the fact that Russia hacked the DNC server. That's the only testimony we have about Russian interference in our election, is this, quote, proof that CrowdStrike says they have, but never produced. And so we come full circle. President Trump says to Zelensky in the transcript, we know you've got the server. We'd really like to take a look at it. Yes, Mr. President, we do have the server. We will send it over to you in due course. And this is why the left are shitting themselves. It's because it will prove.
It's two. It's that, and it's also the Bidens.
Yeah, that too. Definitely. You're right. I'm a bit myopic in my analysis there. You're correct. It's that too. They've got to cover that up. They have to.
Yeah, and not just the Bidens, but all the other people that we've discussed, like who have some, like Pelosi, even some people on the right whose like kids or
Lindsey Graham looking at you.
Yeah, children are on these boards of these Ukrainian energy companies.
Yes, sir. Damn straight. Damn straight. Yeah. What a tirade he just went on. What a tantrum he just threw. Right.
And I actually, I found him to be contradictory. I mean, this whole thing is about Russia and Ukraine interfering in the election, and he just admitted that they didn't.
Exactly.
He just said neither of them interfered in the election. So what is this all about?
Smoke and mirrors, Luke. Try to make the American people buy a bill of goods that are false to throw Donald Trump's ass out of office from the 2016 election and get him off the ballot for 2020. As Pat Cipollone just laid out, they have literally said in their opening 24 hours of argumentation, we've got to get him off the ballot because they know they can't win. And again, exactly what you just said. They know they're in deep, deep, deep doo-doo. They are up a creek. If President Trump is elected again for a second term, they know it. They know it. This is the Hail Mary pass right here, Luke. And also, I will say, if this stuff is so important to Adam Schiff that he's really got to get it out there, why didn't you bring it up in the opening 24 hours of argumentation, bro? Maybe they did. You know what I mean? Luke and I are going to grab bag special their final day of argumentation. So maybe it'll come up. But I don't recall that happening where they were talking about Ukrainian and Russian interference. I don't recall
either. I mean, all they're doing is just saying the same thing over and over and over again. That's it. It's literally that's right. It. There's nothing else to say other than they're just saying the same things over and over and over again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, let's move on, dude. This is boring.
Yeah, I agree. It is boring. But the Republicans this morning, I found quite exciting. I that's just me. I found it. I was riveted. I thought it was good stuff. Although I do buy your argument about like, man, they should really go for the throat with Philbin. Philbin's testimony in particular, he should go for the throat. You convinced me about that. He should. But man, Cipollone did go for the throat. I think Jay Sekulow did a pretty good job. And yeah, other than that, I'm done with this too, man. We've got plenty of other stuff to talk about. Where do you want to go next, man?
Let's see. We could go. I don't know, man. You pick.
Well, we've got this situation happening with Hunter Biden and in his paternity lawsuit in Arkansas with London. I can't remember her name. Lunden is how it's spelled. So this is why I sort of tying it back into impeachment. Why is it that maybe we don't need to call witnesses at all? Because, dude, his financial records have been subpoenaed. And as of next Wednesday, he has to show up in Arkansas court with his financial records, or he will be held in contempt of court in Arkansas. That's serious business. So in other words, in macro, Luke, what I think is that the goods about Hunter Biden, they're going to come out anyway. Don't call him to the Senate. You know what I mean? They're coming out anyway, right? In other words, it's this, dear listener. When we find out what is on Hunter Biden's financial records so that the judge can decide how much child support Hunter has to pay for his bastard child, right? To London, whatever her name is. If Burisma Holdings is anywhere in those financial records, boom, he is in serious shit at that point in time. Serious shit, right?
Why is that, though? Because we already know he's involved with Burisma.
Exactly so. But now what we have is a traceable financial record of it, right? Traceable, not just reportable, traceable. We can trace it back. And that brings me to another point, thinking of it. Rudy Giuliani has been hitting the TV waves this week saying he's got all this evidence already. He's going to drop it. He's going to prove not just the Biden corruption of the Biden crime syndicate. He's going to prove not just that. He's going to prove how the media covered it up, right? So why do it in the impeachment trial? We've got two attack vectors here that seem to be like they're going to bear fruit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't really think so. I don't think anything's...
Really? How come?
Because they would have already done it. I mean, it's already traceable. It's already out there. It's public knowledge, and nobody's doing anything about it. They would have already done something about it if they could, or if they were willing to. I don't see how this changes anything.
I see your skepticism. I see why you say what you say. You're correct. The HSP boys know it. The American public at large does not yet know it, right? And dear listener on this trail, you know it as well, because we've been talking about it for since at least June of last year when we first started talking about this.
But I think the American public does know about it. It's been on Hannity. It's been all over Fox News. I mean, dude, this is like everybody knows about it.
The right knows about it. Let me not just say, dear listener and the HSP boys, the right in the country know about it. The left are laboring under the delusion of contradictory evidence and contradiction in general, to the point that they don't buy it.
Yeah, but they would never do anything about this anyway. If anybody's going to do anything about it, it's the right, and the right already knows about it. So again, I don't see how this changes anything.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what Rudy Giuliani has to say, and we'll have to see what's in Hunter Biden's financial statements. You know what I mean? And, Luke, to your point, there was a John Solomon piece that dropped this week on John Solomon Reports. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he lays out a number of facts, and I'll just read the facts without the details. Fact: Joe Biden admitted to forcing Shokin's firing in March 2016. Fact: Shokin's prosecutors were actively investigating Burisma when he was fired. Fact: Burisma's lawyers in 2016 were pressing U.S. and Ukrainian authorities to end the corruption investigations. Fact: There is substantial evidence Joe Biden and his office knew about the Burisma probe and his son's role as a board member. Fact: Federal ethics rules require government officials to avoid taking policy actions affecting those close relatives. Fact: Multiple State Department officials testified the Biden's dealings in Ukraine created the appearance of a conflict of interest. Fact: Hunter Biden acknowledged he may have gotten his Burisma job solely because of his last name. Fact: Ukraine law enforcement reopened the Burisma investigation in early 2019, well before President Trump mentioned the matter to Ukraine's new president, Zelensky. And that's about all the facts right there. I suppose the question that you have, the issue that you have, is how does this change anything? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, the people, again, great. Yeah, we've got traceable. But the people who could and should do something haven't and aren't, in spite of the fact that they have all of the information available to them. So more information does not does not to me indicate any sort of tangible action on behalf of the people who would go after him.
You know, it depends on what Giuliani can prove with the money laundering trail from Burisma, which is essentially a state-sponsored energy company, to the Bidens. Okay. We'll see what he can prove. Okay. And, you know, also there's this other wild card in the wings, you know, that's happening with this whole FISA abuse thing. I mean, dang. General Flynn was the first victim of Spygate. All of these stories are becoming one, dear listener. Jay Sekulow laid that out right there in the defense testimony today. Okay. All of these stories are becoming one, right? Heretofore, Luke, things were segmented, right? They were just interesting little stories that didn't involve one another. Now we're starting to find out that they are completely linked. Okay. I think that changes everything. But we'll see. I get your point. I think also, to your point, you know, we need to wait on what John Bull Durham discovers and indicts.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, it comes down to Barr and Durham. You know, and this whole thing with Hunter Biden and the Arkansas court and all this, and I mean, you know, again, I just don't see that. It's interesting, and I hope, you know, a lot of important information comes out, but I don't see the right, you know, launching in sort of an investigation because an Arkansas court case revealed everything that they already know to be the case anyways, you know? So I think it really comes down to Barr, and I think it comes down to Durham. And if anything major is going to happen, it's going to derive from that.
Yeah. I agree 100%. All eyes are on you, Attorney General Barr and John Bull Durham. All eyes are on you. I agree 100%. Luke, it must be said, it is rather curious that now all of a sudden Hunter Biden is fixing to be held in contempt of court for not disclosing his financial records in a paternity lawsuit for a bastard child while impeachment hearings are going on. You know, context does matter. You know, it's all clarifying in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Not really. I mean, I think so. I think what you're saying is that the impeachment hearings are a distraction.
What I'm saying is that all of this is going to happen in the same airwaves at the same time, where people cannot be distracted by impeachment and Hunter Biden. It's not story of the week, story of the day. This is all going to happen at the same time in a clarifying point, right? Does it change anything? I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I agree with your premise entirely. It's all up to Attorney General Barr and John Bull Durham. I agree with that entirely. But man, I cannot find these things happening at the same time as entirely coincidental. You know what I mean? I can't. So we have to see what happens, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think to some extent it's actually a little bit coincidental. I think that Hunter Biden is just a bag of shit and is just kicking the Brock down the road. And it just so happens to be that the impeachment, I mean, but and the reason I say that is because these two things were developing totally independently the whole time.
Right.
You know, they were planning on impeaching way before they ever did. They've been planning impeachment for 3 years now. And Hunter Biden has been impregnating strippers and then not giving them child support for at least 3 years now. You know, so
true.
I really do. I think it's coincidental. I don't think anything major is going to come of it. I think if anything is going to happen in terms of real significant change and in terms of corruption and the deep state and whatnot, it's going to come from Durham and Barr.
I agree with you about that. He is the Attorney General, after all. I do not see it as coincidental. I don't necessarily see it as orchestrated, right? But let's keep in mind that President Trump got impeached because he asked Ukraine to investigate the Bidens. Now, outside of that vector of Ukraine investigating the Bidens, we're going to find out Hunter Biden's tax records. We're going to find that out.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. So yeah, they're correlated in a way, but I think that
correlated is better.
Yeah,
yes,
I think that the child support thing and the impeachment, I think that's coincidental in terms of timing.
Yeah, perhaps so. Perhaps not. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, it really is white pilling to me, not black pilling, that the very issue upon which President Trump was impeached is going to be settled in a paternity court case. That's just, yeah, it's just funny. It's correlated. That's the better term, not coincidental, not causal, correlated. You know what I mean? So yeah, well, we'll see what happens, not to mention, we found out this week, number one, as we reported in 66, General Flynn reversed his guilty plea. That is creating an avalanche happening all at the same time. And also it's reported this week, and you've got the show prep on this, and so do I. A FISA judge found that the warrants into Carter Page were, quote, not valid. Dear listener, let me tell you what that is. That's legalese for illegal. Illegal. They illegally spied on Carter Page in order to run at the president, as Jay Sekulow just laid out in that audio we played. You know what I mean? So, dang, a whole lot of stuff going on. So, yeah, let me give you the black and white about it, dear listener. I've got a Washington Times piece here regarding this FISA warrant thing. I'm going to take it from the lead. It goes thus. The Justice Department concluded 2 of the FISA Act warrants authorizing surveillance of Carter Page were, quote, not valid, according to a court order declassified Thursday. The department will also investigate the validity of the other 2 warrants for Mr. Page, the court order revealed. Both disclosures came in a December filing with the FISA court declassified on Thursday. Terrible sentence, Washington Times. The department concluded 2 of the warrants were invalid because the FBI provided, quote, insufficient predication to establish probable cause to believe that Page was acting as an agent of a foreign power, meaning Russia. What Adam Schiff was just talking about in that presser. Back to the piece. However, the department would not take a position on the 2 remaining warrants. Okay, let me skip that paragraph. Judge Boasberg set a January 28th deadline for the Justice Department to provide information about the steps it will take to minimize the information gained from the Page surveillance. Thursday's disclosure drew strong reaction from Senator Chuck Grassley. He was enthusiastic. 2 paragraphs down, Representative Doug Collins, Georgia Republican, and a member of the president's impeachment defense team said revelation, quote, proves that what Republicans have been saying for years. There was no legal basis for spying on Carter Page during the 2016 election. Congress must investigate the origins of the surveillance abuse and reform FISA to protect law-abiding citizens, Mr. Collins said on Twitter. Dang, Luke. So there is a lot of correlation going on here. Now, to be fair, it just came out today that January 28th deadline that James Boasberg, however you say his name, imposed on the DOJ to say, what are you going to do to minimize the damage that was done from this faulty, illegal spying on Carter Page? Okay. They have extended that deadline by request of the DOJ to now February 7th. February 5th. They got a 1-week reprieve. Okay. And that is also interesting, right? I've got a conservative treehouse piece here. I'm going to take it from this paragraph right here. It goes thus. This is a hot mess. Remember, IG Horowitz said he only found evidence of a FISA warrant against Carter Page. No other Trump campaign or Trump administration official was investigated using a FISA application. That statement is a little more important now. Remember, the special counsel team used some form of pre-existing warrant authority to capture all of the Trump transition team emails and communications from the GSA and then lied about it to the Trump White House. Perhaps national security letters, NSLs. That's what Sundance says. The DOJ FBI previously agreed to sequester all information and evidence received as an outcome of all 4 FISA warrants issued against Carter Page, meaning all material in any court proceeding or subsequent secondary warrant on another target, application, filing, motion, prosecution, or downstream use of the informant gathered and obtained, i.e., a proverbial search for the fruit of a poisonous tree. Where is it? Dang. So these FISA warrants get ruled illegal by Judge Boasberg, right? Hunter Biden's got to testify in paternity court. The Trump team is making their defense of the president for his impeachment sham. Lots of things going on and kind of tying together. And once again, Luke, I agree with your characterization of it. It is correlation. It is correlation. It is not causation. You know?
Yeah.
Does it change things? Dang, if General Flynn gets off, yeah, that changes things. If he is exonerated, yeah, that changes a lot. He's the first victim of Spygate, which ultimately, really, as Adam Schiff just detailed in that audio we played, this was never about Ukraine. The Republicans can't prove this. It's about Russia. And I paraphrase the same way Adam Schiff paraphrased the transcript.
Yeah.
So, we'll see, dude. We'll see. You know?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Flynn. I mean, it was just a massive injustice that happened to him. Extremely sad story. All conducted by a corrupt few people at the DOJ, the FBI, and those people deserve to go down that did that to him, and I hope that they do.
Same here, man. Same here. You know, it's interesting to me how all of these are becoming one story, right up to Hunter Biden's paternity case. I'm right there with you. I hope they go downtown for what they did to General Flynn. He was the first victim of Spygate. We said it in number 66. We succinctly put it. Why should you care, dear listener, about General Flynn? Because he's the first victim of Spygate. That's why. He's all up in this. Spygate is impeachment, is Hunter Biden's paternity case. Again, only by correlation. But dang, I hope you're right, Luke. I hope those sons of bitches hang, you know. Nonetheless, I do agree with your point entirely. It's entirely up to William Barr and John Bull Durham at this point, entirely, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. All right, what you got on the trail, man?
Let's see. Oh, one thing we needed to follow up on was, because we said last week we were going to follow up on this, is the Virginia gun rally.
That is true. And first of all, I want to say, Luke, you nailed it. I was wrong. I thought things could blow up any number of ways. You said it would be a non-happening. You were 100% correct. And dear listener, this is great because Luke didn't just call it. Luke hella called it. And remember, it was being configured as a protest at that time. By the end of that, quote, protest, it was being called a rally. And I watched numerous streams about it, Luke. It was so white-pilling, dude. All of it was so white-pilling. The rally itself, that is. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have to ask, were all the usual suspects there live streaming, like Baked Alaska and all these people?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Breitbart was there. They had the best stream. Breitbart did, in fact. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But all of them were there. Yeah. Alex Jones, just like we called. Yeah. They were.
I don't mind. That's always been Alex Jones's stick. So
it's true.
It's true. So if he's going to go, I don't care about Alex Jones. But yeah, all these other grifters, going there, and which is what they are,
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. All of them were there, just like we predicted they were, surprise, surprise, I suppose, so, but like, I watched it happen, Luke. It was just, dang, dude. It was like a Trump rally. Not that good, but it was a happy occasion. Not one shot was fired, and everybody was having a good time being like, yeah, bro, Governor Blackface needs to resign. Breitbart was kind of going around interviewing people, and the things that they had to say were hilarious, frankly hilarious. It was good, man. I have never been more glad that you were right and I was wrong ever. And you called it, dude. You called exactly what's going to happen. It went exactly the way you said, dude. And I'm so happy for that.
Cool. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, so there, there's nothing really much to follow up on other than the red flag law passed the Virginia Senate this week. It's going to be signed by the governor, So they, what Breitbart was interviewing these people on their live stream was like, what do you think Governor Ralph Northam needs to do? They were like, resign, right? Person after person. But, it's kind of split in half between resign and he needs to listen to the people right now. He needs to see how peaceful we are. And he needs to listen to us and not sign this legislation. Well, Virginia, dear listeners, he's not going to listen. He's not. He is going to absolutely ramrod these gun control laws through the Virginia government. And I'm sorry, it was a noble attempt. The rally was a noble attempt. It was not enough. What we do know also is that President Trump came out this week and he said, there's no way I'm going to stand by and allow Virginia's Second Amendment rights to be stripped of them. And so I expect that William Barr is probably going to be throwing some lawsuits at the Virginia government. I suspect.
Good.
Yeah.
It's the way, It's the way it ought to happen.
That's the way it's done. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Well, do you want to do another audio break and we can come back?
Yeah, that sounds really good. So, dear listener, we have if I can find it, dang. Nope. Oh, yeah, this is it. Okay. We have the white pillingest moment of the week, and that was this. While the impeachment sham was going on, President Trump arrived in Davos, Switzerland to address the world's elite. And he did not do it in the way that Obama would do it. He did not do it in the way that George W. Bush would do it.
Apologize for America.
Exactly. He redeclared American dominance. Luke, this is really white pilling. And dear listener, it was a 34-minute address. We're not going to be able to play all of it, Luke. How much you want to play? The typical 10 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Very good. So dear listener, listen to how great America is again, and listen to how President Trump declares it before the World Economic Forum. Enjoy this audio. Meanwhile, Luke and I are going to refresh beverages, blow our noses, use the restroom, and Luke and I will be back at you before you know it. Here's the president. Enjoy.
Well, thank you very much, Klaus, and very special congratulations on your 50th year hosting the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, a truly amazing achievement. It's an honor to address the distinguished members of this organization for the second time as president. When I spoke at this forum 2 years ago, I told you that we had launched the Great American Comeback. Today, I'm proud to declare that the United States is in the midst of an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen before. We've regained our stride, rediscovered our spirit, and reawakened the powerful machinery of American enterprise. America is thriving, America is flourishing, and yes, America is winning again like never before. Just last week alone, the United States concluded 2 extraordinary trade deals. The agreement with China and the United States, Mexico-Canada agreement, the 2 biggest trade deals ever made. They just happened to get done in the same week. These agreements represent a new model of trade for the 21st century, agreements that are fair, reciprocal, and that prioritize the needs of workers and families. America's economic turnaround has been nothing short of spectacular. When I took office 3 years ago, America's economy was in a rather dismal state. Under the previous administration, nearly 200,000 manufacturing jobs had vanished. Wages were flat or falling. Almost 5 million more Americans had left the labor force than had gotten jobs, and more than 10 million people had been added to the food stamp rolls. The experts predicted a decade of very, very slow growth, or maybe even negative growth, high unemployment and a dwindling workforce, and very much a shrinking middle class. Millions of hardworking, ordinary citizens felt neglected, betrayed, forgotten. They were rapidly losing faith in the system. Before my presidency began, the outlook for many nations was bleak. Top economists warned of a protracted worldwide recession. The World Bank lowered its projections for global growth to a number that nobody wanted to even think about. Pessimism had taken root deep in the minds of leading thinkers, business leaders, and policymakers. Yet despite all of the cynics, I had never been more confident in America's future. I knew we were on the verge of a profound economic resurgence if we did things right, one that would generate a historic wave of investment, wage growth, and job creation. I knew that if we unleashed the potential of our people, if we cut taxes, slashed regulations, and we did that at a level that's never been done before in the history of our country in a short period of time, fixed broken trade deals, and fully tapped American energy, that prosperity would come thundering back at a record speed. And that is exactly what we did, and that is exactly what happened. Since my election, America has gained over 7 million jobs, a number unthinkable. I wouldn't say it, I wouldn't talk about it, but that was a number that I had in mind. The projection was 2 million, we did 7. More than 3 times the government's own projections. The unemployment rate is now less than 3.5%, and at 3.5%, that's a number that is the lowest in more than 50 years. The average unemployment rate from my administration is the lowest for any U.S. president in recorded history. We started off with reasonably high rate. For the first time in decades, we are no longer simply concentrating wealth in the hands of a few. We're concentrating and creating the most inclusive economy ever to exist. We are lifting up Americans of every race, color, religion, and creed. Unemployment rates among African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans have all reached record lows. African American youth unemployment has reached the lowest it's ever been in the history of our country. African American poverty has plummeted to the lowest rate ever recorded. The unemployment rate for women reached the lowest level since 1953, and women now comprise a majority of the American workforce. That's for the first time. The unemployment rate for veterans has dropped to a record low. The unemployment rate for disabled Americans has reached an all-time record low. Workers without a high school diploma have achieved the lowest unemployment rate recorded in U.S. history. Wages are rising across the board, and those at the bottom of the income ladder are enjoying the percentage by far largest gains. Workers' wages are now growing faster than management wages. Earnings growth for the bottom 10% is outpacing the top 10%, something that has not happened. Paychecks for high school graduates are rising faster than for college graduates. Young Americans just entering the workforce are also sharing in America's extraordinary prosperity. Since I took office, more than 2 million millennials have gotten jobs, and their wages have grown by nearly 5% annually, a number that was unthinkable. Nobody would have ever thought it was possible 3 years ago. A record number of Americans between the ages of 25 and 34 are now working. In the 8 years before I took office, over 300,000 working-age people left the workforce. In just 3 years in my administration, 3.5 million people have joined the workforce. 10 million people have been lifted off welfare in less than 3 years. Celebrating the dignity of work is a fundamental pillar of our agenda. This is a blue-collar boom. Since my election, the net worth of the bottom half of wage earners has increased by plus 47%, 3 times faster than the increase for the top 1%. Real median household income is at the highest level ever recorded. The American dream is back, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. No one is benefiting more than America's middle class. We have created 1.2 million manufacturing and construction jobs, a number also unthinkable. After losing 60,000 factories under the previous two administrations, hard to believe when you hear 60,000 factories. America has now gained, in a very short period of time, 12,000 new factories under my administration, and the number is going up rapidly. We'll be beating the 60,000 number that we lost, except these will be bigger, newer, and the latest. Years of economic stagnation have given way to a roaring geyser of opportunity. U.S. stock markets have soared by more than 50% since my election, adding more than $19 trillion to household wealth and boosting 401ks, pensions, and college savings accounts for millions of hardworking families. And these great numbers are many things, and it's despite the fact that the Fed has raised rates too fast and lowered them too slowly.
Welcome back to HSP episode number 67, dear listener. Man, Trump just going on a tear there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. These are the world's elites here, dear listener. And Trump is literally saying to them, this ain't about you. This is about the American worker. We got a party started over here. You can come join in anytime you want. And Luke, we didn't get to the point. Yeah, it was fantastic, dude. And that was really most of what he talked about. But he also BTFO'd communism and socialism. he did do that.
Man, I need to listen to that I need to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, man, I'm going to send you the link right now. You definitely do.
What did he say about socialism and communism?
The time for despair is over. The time for pessimism is over. The time for managed economies is over. The time for the individual worker is at advent. Basically, is what he said. Yeah. And I'm kind of doing
ironic
a little bit
because that's exactly what socialism and communism purport to be about.
Right. But he cast it in a negative, pessimistic light. Dude, it was God tier. It was God tier.
All right. I can't wait.
Yeah. He also did not pull any punches from Greta Thunberg.
What did he say about Greta? I missed that too.
He didn't specify, but he was like, we are not going to allow our economy to be throttled by these climate shit posters. Basically, that's what it said. And this is a day after Greta Thunberg had just addressed the World Economic Forum about how dare you, you know what I mean? Her typical shtick, we're not going to allow it to happen. We're not going to allow these climate hysterics to control our economies. Not going to happen. Dang.
Yeah, I saw Greta when she was like, this is not left. This is not right. This is not center.
Yeah. Poor thing, man. Such a bright and hopeful youth. She's going to have a great future.
I saw a funny meme the other day. It was Greta Thunberg, and she was like, something about the future of the planet, and we need to do everything we can to save it, and blah blah blah. And then it was like this black 5 or 6 year old child like digging stuff out of a lithium mine in Africa, and he's like, "I'm working as fast as I can, Greta, for your recharge for your reusable batteries."
Saw that, dude. God tier, man.
Yeah. Which is something a lot of people don't talk about, for these batteries. I mean, you need lithium and all these rare earth minerals. When, the irony is in these rare, the way in which they're mined is very bad for the environment. And the irony is the only reason they're rare is because in the West, we refuse to dig them out. It's not like we don't have them also.
Exactly.
We just don't mine them. We don't harvest them. And as a result, they're rare because we won't actually harm our environment to get them, to get that which is needed to make the things that are supposed to save our environment.
Exactly.
So we outsource it to countries like, Mexico has one of, if not the largest lithium deposits in the world, in China and these other countries, and then they destroy their environment so that we can save the planet. It's so ridiculous. It's so contradictory.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is. Yeah. And, I agree whole cloth with everything you just said, except for one bit. You threw in that we will not harm our environment in order to harvest these minerals. We will not use our environment in order to harvest these minerals. The environment is there for us. And listen, man, I don't like litter. You don't like litter, right? I don't litter. You don't litter. It's not about that, right? It's about we have a vast amount of resources here in the United States, as we've proven with our oil independence, that we can make humanity better, with which we can make humanity better. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Just a phrase.
Just a phrase. The reason we don't mine them is ostensibly for environmental reasons. It's
exactly
too bad. It's too bad for the environment. So they're like, oh, we're not going to harm our environment, so we'll just buy it from China. Let them do that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's about using our environment at all, because at the end of the day, these people like Greta Thunberg firmly believe that the human race is a blight on the planet.
Exactly. We're not worthy of our own environment, of our own planet. Yes.
Well, of our own existence.
Yeah, true. True.
Yeah, we're not worthy of existence. That's their belief. I mean, I remember I read some environmentalist. He was like, now that the Mars rovers touched down, we have now impacted the second planet, another planet.
I saw that too.
So it's like we have irreparably damaged Mars just by landing a rover there.
Exactly. Which is ironic, because all these shitlibs want to terraform Mars so they can get off this dying planet and go live on Mars. Dude, it's crazy, dude. It is just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. At the end of the day, what environmentalism really is, at the end of the day, really, if we're going to get down to the very basic fundamental premise of environmentalism, philosophical premise of environmentalism, it's that at the end of the day, all facts about existence can be categorized into one of two things. One is metaphysical facts. The other one are man-made facts. Metaphysical facts being that which occurs naturally without human intervention. So a metaphysical and then a man-made fact is a fact that has come into existence as a result of human action. So metaphysical facts would be the existence of a mountain, a lake, a river,
a rock, a tree, a river.
Yeah, these sorts of things. And then a man-made fact would be the tunnel that we made through the mountain, the bridge that we made over the river, the trees that we cut down and reformed into housing. These are man-made facts. And what environmentalism is at its most basic understanding is the eradication of the category of fact which is man-made. Anything in existence which is a result of human action, that category of fact they seek to eradicate out of existence.
Well said, man. Well said. Too true.
So, let's move into GBS, dude. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it. So, dear listener, impeachment is the story of the week, right? And Luke and I are sick of talking about it. You're sick of hearing about it. So what Luke and I decided to do is to lampoon these Democrats on their impeachment. And we have the final day of the last 8 hours of the 24 hours of argumentation where the Democrats lay out their case. And Luke, this shit is so frankly boring. I say we do 2, maybe 3 drops and set up camp, man. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it. Dear listener, right. I am dying over here. I'm burning midnight oil. It's been a long day, 2 birthday parties, and I'm just like, I messaged Russ on the audio break. It's like, dude, I am so tired. So I apologize if I'm a little low energy this show, dear listener, but it's just the nature of the beast, but we're always going to put out a show. So
you're doing great, man. Don't sweat it. You're doing great.
All right. Well, thanks, man. But yeah, let's do 2 and we'll call it.
All right. Very good. So we've got 7 hours and 50 minutes, right? I'm kind of hovering over 45-10. It looks like it's Hakeem Jeffries laying out the case against Trump. I can go anywhere, man. Where you want to go? Well,
we already know. It, dude. Just drop it.
Just drop it? Okay, Here we go. Coming at you. This is 45 minutes and 10 seconds into the Democrats' summation of the articles of impeachment against President Trump. Here we go.
Trying to cheat in an American election by soliciting foreign interference. What can be more urgent than that?
Okay, you can stop right there.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi sat on it for like 3 weeks. Apparently, it's not
Damn
that
right.
It's not very urgent.
Damn right.
I mean, we get
right.
our first sentence and we already have a contradiction.
What can be more urgent than that? Yeah, we had to wait for a month, bro. How urgent is it?
I don't know, Congresswoman Pelosi. Why don't you tell us?
This is why it was so god tier that Cipollone shot them down about they're not just trying to affect the 2016 election, they're trying to affect the 2020 election as well, which is fact. That's what they want to do. They want to overthrow 2 elections, right? And they did make the argument. I don't think it's on this day, Luke. They made the argument in the House and then made it again in the Senate that we have to get rid of this president because if we don't, Russia interferes in our election again. So, dear listener, what we have here, we have a president who has never cast doubt upon our electoral system, and we have Democrats accusing him of casting doubt upon our electoral system and themselves casting doubt upon our electoral system. It's always like this, dear listener. They do it both ways. They punch you with the left hand and say, oh, I'm sorry, it's not the left hand punching you, it's the right hand while they're punching you with the right hand at the same time. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man.
Well, let's pick back up there. Maybe he can get out a second sentence before we catch him in a contradiction.
Fair enough. Here we go.
Crime in progress. But they concluded it wasn't an urgent matter. Acting Director of National Intelligence McGuire testified that the Office of Legal Counsel opinion did not actually prevent him from turning over the complaint to Congress. Instead, based upon his testimony, it is clear that he withheld it on the basis that the complaint might deal with information that he believed could be covered by executive privilege. But President Trump never actually invoked executive privilege.
False.
He never actually invoked executive privilege.
False.
Nor did he inform Congress that he was doing so with respect to this complaint. Instead, the White House secretly instructed the acting Director of National Intelligence to withhold the complaint based on the mere possibility that executive privilege could be invoked.
I don't even know what this son of a bitch
the White
is
House
talking
was
about,
able
Luke.
to.
Do you? I don't even know what he's talking about.
The thing is, they're not talking about the charges. They're talking about all the processes around the trial.
Exactly.
You know, like it just goes to show how little they have with respect to the actual charges. This is all process related stuff.
Right.
You know, it's like if a company develops a shitty product, it would be as if the people who were responsible for developing that shitty product sat around going, how did this shitty product, rather than discussing how the shitty product got developed, they're arguing about the processes, you know, like, oh, hey, maybe we should ask, like, how did this happen in the first place? Whose idea, you know, why was this idea bad? But they're arguing about, this went wrong because we communicated the ideas inefficient. Well, no, that's not a good example. Maybe this is a convoluted metaphor, but I think you get my point. They're arguing, they're having the wrong conversation about why the shitty product was built, you know?
Right.
They're talking about like, we don't have enough meetings or some, you know, some non-essential facts about how that happened. And they're not having the conversation about what's really going on here. And this is exactly what this guy's doing. He's bitching and complaining about the processes and executive privilege without actually talking about the charge itself. Now, granted, I mean, there was a lot of talking, but you know, so I'm sure at some point they talked about the actual charges themselves. I'm not sure they did. But the Republicans get out there, they say what needs to be said, and then they're done. The Democrats get out there and they just want to hit you with a tsunami of information.
Essentially filibuster is what they did.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yep. Not to mention, man, I can hear this slimy son of a bitch swallowing between every sentence, which is an indication of nervousness as well as disgusting. So, I hope that this doesn't get through the audio, dear listener. I'll do my best to cut Hakeem Jeffries' swallows out. I'll do the best I can. So
yeah, maybe he yeah, he should have smoked some weed or something, get a little bit of cotton mouth beforehand,
Maybe so.
Maybe it would have been that better. Nervous energy a little bit and all the swallowing.
Maybe so. Maybe it would have been better. Yeah. I don't even know what this son of a bitch is talking about, so I really don't want to listen to it. Let's do a different drop,
dude. This guy sucks.
All right. Let's see if we can find. There's the ugly woman, and there's the other ugly woman, and there's the third ugly woman, and I'm trying to see if I can find Schiff Show. Oh no, man! Hakeem Jeffries comes back up. Man, I was under the. Oh, I found him. I found Adam Schiff Show. No, that's not him. Come on, Schiff. There he is. Right at the end. They saved the best for last. There he is. God. He's at about 6 hours and 40 minutes.
This bug-eyed little freak. Dude, he's like one of those aliens that occupies a human body in Men in Black. That's what Schiff reminds me of.
Yeah. You know what? Me too.
I'm just waiting for him to stumble out onto the podium and go, sugar, water.
Just so, man. Yeah.
He has to be an alien, dude. There's no way this is a human being.
I think that every time I see him, how did natural selection provide for
it's like the alien
specimen is this?
The alien before occupying the body, they were like, now you have these things called eyes, and you have to open your eyelids, and you have to do what's called blinking. And so this alien is like he's like overcompensating. Okay, eyes open, and then it's just bug eyes, and then he's like, I have to blink, bug eyes, blink.
Yeah. Just so, man.
That's what Schiff is. He's an alien from another planet brought here to bring down the political system of the most powerful country, so they can then land a UFO here and take over once the U.S. is gone.
Yeah, man.
Just got to start looking for that mothership. That's the real enemy.
Man, what was that movie? That Peter Jackson produced movie with the prunes? These damn prunes.
The prawns?
Oh,
District 9.
Yeah. District 9. I thought it was 49.
These are the prawns.
Yeah.
You must treat the prawns this way if they're to respect you.
Just so, man. Just so. Oh my God. It is to laugh. So,
I thought you were going to say Independence Day.
No. You could invoke that as well, but I was thinking District 9. So thank you for bailing me out on that. I would have left a open end, and we would suffer, dear listener, correction had you not.
That was such a weird movie.
I know it is. I love it. I love that movie. But
I haven't seen it in a long time, man. But I just remember thinking there's a few movies that sort of creep me out. The movie that creeps me out. Actually, what's funny is a lot of them are childhood movies.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like movies from my childhood that just creeped. Maybe it was because like my sister was watching them, and I was just too young to watch those at the time to understand them. But like, Never Ending Story, that movie creeps me the shit out. The Goonies creeps me the shit out. Oh gosh.
Willow is what you're thinking of.
Yeah. Willow. I think I mentioned that one previously on a show like a long time ago.
Dark Crystal with the Skeksis. Yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Me out. Okay, that crept me out.
Wizard of Oz. I hate that movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Damn.
I cannot stay. It creeps me out so bad. Yeah, like all those movies that are considered classics, I hate all of them. I cannot watch them. I don't want A Christmas Story. I can't watch that.
Yeah.
And by the way, dude, I was actually thinking about tweeting this out. You know, I think that like a 2020 gym apparel prediction of mine is going to be, in A Christmas Story, when that kid gets all bundled up and you can barely even see his face before he goes outside. It's like, I think that's going to be the 2020 gym apparel, looking at some of these people, the way they dress in the gym. It's like, dude, what, it's like, you're not Kai Green. Okay. Like, they come in, they're like wearing, seriously, it's like they just came in out of the Arctic tundra and now they're going to lift weights,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Looking
I never
like
will get it.
Kyle
Like, why
on
do
South
people
Park.
wear that shit in the gym? Like sweats and hoodie pulled down all low. And they're like, oh, I'm so low key and secretive in the gym. And you're like, like, dude,
I've seen it too.
it's a cool, 70, 75 degrees in here. You're not going to get cold from, and here's the thing.
You should be getting hot. You shouldn't need to wear all that gear.
Yeah, exactly. Like, here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you have to wear all that stuff to keep yourself from getting cold in the gym, perhaps you need
You're
to
not doing it
bump
right.
the intensity up a little bit, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's this one dude at my gym that does that. He's got like his iPad out recording all of his stuff. He's got his hoodie pulled down all low. He's got his big bulky earphones on the outside of his hoodie, sweatpants. And I'm just like, God, dude.
Yeah, man. When I was lifting for Robert, for Robert, well, that was pretty much the case. I was lifting for Robert.
The first few weeks you were lifting because you had obligated yourself.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Robert and I came up with nicknames for everybody in the gym. And, when Robert is great again, when he's back in the saddle. And by the way, Robert, I forgot to wish you happy birthday. So Robert, happy birthday, my blood.
Oh yeah,
happy
dude.
birthday.
Happy birthday. I forgot to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when he's back in the saddle again, he and I'll detail some of those. I don't want to content cuck Robert. I want him to be here when we detail these names that we call people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was good stuff. It's good stuff. Well, shall we suffer Adam Schiff? Shall we suffer Bull Schiff and set up camp? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. This little bug-eyed freak.
Okay.
I mean, dude, you know me, Russ. I don't like, I'm not an angry person by any stretch.
No.
And I'm not angry when I think about Schiff. And I'm not an insulting person either,
That's exactly what I was going to say. No, you never are. You're a very respectful person. And for you to say this is big, dude.
Yeah, dude. There are certain people where I have absolutely zero respect for them as a human being. And I have nothing but utter contempt for them. And Adam Schiff is one of those people.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I hear you.
I mean, like, I wouldn't say this about Bernie. I detest Bernie's politics more than I do Adam Schiff's, but at least Bernie is honest. At least he's principled. He would never pull this crap,
Yeah, true. It's true.
So like, I wouldn't say these things about Bernie in spite of the fact that I disagree with his politics even more than Adam Schiff's politics.
Yeah.
But Adam Schiff is a detestable, reprehensible, reprimandable freak that just should disappear into the night.
I agree, man. Yeah. You say similar things about Ilhan Omar, to be fair. You do.
Yeah,
but,
her as well.
Yeah.
But then again, I wouldn't say the same thing about AOC. I view AOC as the same as Bernie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now,
pretty much.
Rashida Tlaib, I feel the same way about her as I do Adam Schiff and Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
So for me, it comes down to like character and behavior and decorum and composure and respect towards others and respect to the system and integrity, intellectual honesty. That's the stuff where, if you violate all of that, then you are a, oh God, persona non grata. That's what you are to me. If that's who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Agreed entirely. Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, let's hear what this idiot has to say.
Okay. We've already suffered him through his presser after the Republicans began to destroy their case. We're at 6 hours, 55 minutes, and 17 seconds into this sham. Here we go. Coming at you. Oh, don't do this. Oh, here we go.
Investigate the president's own wrongdoing. There will never be an Article 1. Because there will be no more impeachment power. It will be gone. It will be gone.
No, not gone.
It will be gone.
Wow.
It will be gone.
Well, yeah. WTF, I love Schiff now.
Yeah, exactly.
He changed my mind with his impassioned statement.
Yeah. Well, what he here implicitly implies is that they want to continually use impeachment as a weapon against the president. That's what he means, right? He's not talking about usurpation of impeachment powers. No. He's talking about the flagrant, dishonest use of impeachment to take down whomever they wish. That's what he means.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scumbag, man. Scumbag. John and I had a conversation last night about, what should the president do? No, I'm sorry. That was my mom. Not John and I. It was my mom a few nights back.
Your loved ones are slowly becoming one person.
Yeah, indeed, sir. Indeed. All this content we're putting out and all this whiskey kind of makes it blur together, It goes like this. Okay. What should the president do? There are rumors that the president wants to go show up into this impeachment sham and listen. And the argument, I get it. I get what the president wants to do. He wants to show up and stare down his accusers as their case falls apart. I totally get it. Right, Mr. President, don't do it.
No.
Don't do it. Stay away. Stay
above the fray.
Exactly so. You keep doing what you do. Keep winning. Keep the office of the president in check, and I suppose keep presidenting, as the way President Obama put it. Keep presidenting.
Yeah, I always joke about like how I'm just waiting for the first millennial to get elected president, be it left or right, and start using the word president as a verb.
Yeah.
Doing some serious presidenting today.
Yeah. Well, Obama did it, man. And is he a boomer or is he? I think he's Gen X. I think he's probably Gen X.
I don't think Gen X would claim Obama in a heartbeat.
That's a fair point.
And I think the fact that all the socialists on the left disown Obama makes him a boomer.
Oh, okay. That's a fair point, man. That's a good argument. That's a really good argument. Huh. I agree.
And I wouldn't want to insult Gen X with Obama. I like Gen X.
True. Do you really? Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I'm kind of on that line between Gen X.
You're on the cusp.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't for a moment claim millennial. Jesus Christ. So, I mean, Gen X.
You certainly are more. You're more Gen X than millennial. There's no doubt about
Gen
it.
X
you certainly are.
is my only shot here, to claim a generation.
Yeah.
I mean, and I always have older friends. I used to have friends my age, and I was frankly they were either usually negative influences or kind of just 6 one way, half dozen the other. I didn't really, with exception to a couple of friends, and those friends I'm still good friends with, but most people my age I gain nothing from. They're either a waste of my time or they're negative. And with exception again to like a couple of people, and those people I keep around, and I don't want to say keep around, but I'm still good friends with, but I generally hang out with I generally have a much better time hanging out with much older people than myself. Because I feel as though those are the only people that I can learn from. And if I'm not learning, if I'm not challenged, if I'm not learning, if I'm not challenged, I just feel like I'm wasting my time, you know? So I've always, this is why I hung out with you, this is why I hung out with Robert. I love talking to my dad now. My dad's like one of my good friends. Because it's just, these are the only people that people with much more life experience and have read more. And I mean, well, honestly, it's hard to find people that have read more than I have at this point. But like, I mean, you know, I'm not trying to sound cocky or anything or arrogant, but like, it's just, you know, it's generally older people at this point that I enjoy being around.
I get it. I know that feel. Totally. But I mean, my spectrum goes above and below. You know what I mean? I mean, I got quite a few years on you. I love your company, man. And
yeah, I mean,
you know, it goes both ways.
I mean,
you know, so
generation is a spectrum.
So it is. So it is. As is autism
and gender.
And gender. Just so.
Well, speaking of that, dude, speaking of autism, you know, I'm releasing this series with John here soon. Dear listener, I've been doing this series with this dude named John who listens to the show. It should be pretty good. I've really had to figure out how to frame it and everything, but it's going to be good. We're going to do our next show in the next like week or two. And then, I'm going to produce them all and then just kind of start dropping them. And John, you know, he's not, I wouldn't say an objectivist. I mean, but he's very intimately familiar with objectivism, much like myself. And, he recently got a job and therefore he's been, you know, for a long time interacting a lot with the objectivist community. And he recently got a job working with, and I was like, so what's your, he's like, yeah, you know, it's going to be difficult to do more shows cause he plays poker professionally, but he just got a job. I was like, oh, cool, man. Like what's the job? And he's like, well, you know, it's counseling, which is what, you know, I went to college for and what my degree is in and I'm certified to do. And, you know, it's working with children who have Asperger's and autism. And I was like, oh man, well, your experience with the objectivist community, probably, I mean, you're eminently qualified for that. He just started cracking up.
That's too funny. Well, John, congratulations, man. He's a great bastard, man. I look forward to that content very much. And I loved his poker stories that night we talked on the horn. I really did. It was good stuff. It was good stuff, man.
Yeah,
so,
he's a good dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do one more. Let's do one more shifty shift drop and call it, dude.
All right. All right. Do you want me to continue from here or fast forward into the future a little bit? What do you think?
Yeah, it's fast forward.
It doesn't matter.
Let's see what else.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be the same. Matter. You know,
same shit,
different drop.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So, all right, I'm at 7 hours and 4 minutes coming at you. Here we go.
The House didn't pass a resolution announcing its impeachment inquiry. Never mind that we actually did.
False.
The problem was, they said, well, we hadn't, and then we did. And then the problem was, well, you did. Now, of course, as you know, the Constitution says the House will have the sole power of impeachment. If we want to do it by House resolution, we can do it by House resolution. We want to do it by committee, we can do it by committee. It is not the president's place to tell us how to conduct an impeachment proceeding.
Okay, this is pissing me off. This is pissing me off. Okay. If we want to do it by popular vote, we can do it by popular vote. If we want to do it by committee, we can do it by committee. Wrong. The Constitution says the House has sole power of impeachment. Do you know what that means, you slimy son of a bitch? It means the entire House has the sole power of impeachment, not a committee, not Nancy Pelosi,
right?
Not you googly-eyed bastard, not you at all. The entire House has it. Or it doesn't, son, or it doesn't. There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, but he's like, and the president is trying to tell us how to do. No, the president was levying valid complaints. That's what he was doing.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
He wasn't trying to tell you what to do. He was observing problems and then levying valid complaints.
Yep. Dang, man, you are so correct. There's something about this dude that just really gets under my skin, dude. I can't.
Well,
I can't account for it.
Yeah, it's because his lies are so veiled in a cloak of honesty, and not that it's honest, but he takes a situation and twists it into something that it isn't.
Yes.
So he takes something, for example, that Trump does or the right does, and then adds a twist on it, and then presents it as if it's something reprehensible. So he's like, yeah. So Trump complains, and then Adam Schiff goes, "Oh, that was him trying to control us, control his own impeachment." I was like, no, it's him levying a valid complaint. It's definitely a logical fallacy. The fallacy in particular is not coming to mind at the moment. It's not straw man, but something similar to straw man.
Yeah, it is. It is. God, I know this too.
Yeah, I don't know. The logical, the name of the logical fallacy is not coming to mind at the moment, but I should probably brush up on my logical fallacies. I haven't done that in a long time. But in any case,
same here.
It's for sure one of the logical fallacies. That's for sure.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know that I can do it anymore, man. I don't know that I can.
Let's call the show, dude. I'm done.
All right. Yeah, I'm done. We've eviscerated all. We didn't have to. We just had to, by Republican request, report upon the evisceration. That's all we had to do today.
Yeah.
And we succeeded. So good.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, this is a rare instance in which the Republicans made it easy on us. Normally, we're doing the heavy lifting.
Very true. Very true. So thanks, Republicans. Thanks a bunch. We got your back. You got ours. You heard? All right, dear listener, we have made it to the terminus of all 67 miles. We're going to pitch camp right now. Luke, I got some beef jerky. I got some beer. I got some whiskey. I've got some lentil soup. I've got some spaghetti. What you got, man? What you got?
Well, I had that vanilla birthday party of mine today, and somebody brought me some amazing salami. I mean, this is something that I just love, is really good, high quality hams and salamis and wursts and things like this. So I got some salami, I got some olives. I've got the stinkiest blue cheese I could find.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, I'm about to have that with a glass of red wine before crashing.
Perfect. Dear listener, we've got enough to go around. We are dining well tonight. You heard? We're doing very good tonight. Thank you so much for riding these 67 miles. We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did. Don't take the bait. Don't buy any of this bullshit. You know exactly what's going on, and so do the HSP boys. And the HSP boys are going to follow up in episode number 68 next weekend. You set your watch to it, dear listener. Luke, you take care of yourself, brother. Have a good week, man.
All right, you too, Russ. Peace, brother.
Later.